We are back with series number 5, the Hearthstone Global Games Week 5. I have swapped Falcon out and got the older guy in the form of Lorinda. How's it going? Did you enjoy the last series?
That was
kind
a
of crazy,
great
right?
series. That equality in the middle game. Wow, Vietnam polishing them off in the end.
Yeah, it was definitely nuts because it's even like all reverse sweeps kind of crazy, but every single game was to that extent. It was like on the edge of my seat sort of thing. So that was definitely a cool series overall. I've got one more for you today. It's going to be Greece versus Slovakia coming up, and you and Sol cast Greece last week.
Yeah,
a lot to talk about. Like a Boss, Deathlord, Logan, and. Excuse me, as I just cough, and Cebu, sorry. All those guys very, very passionate and very, very important to their community. The Greek community is kind of nuts. I've checked out Like a Boss's stream a fair few times as well. It's crazy. I don't understand how
he's streaming in English now as well.
Yeah, I know he started recently. Yeah, so absolutely crazy from those guys, and their opponents are going to be Slovakia, and they've been doing well so far.
Yeah, they played against Korea and they won 3-0, which is quite the result from nowhere.
Impress me. Doesn't impress me.
Nothing impresses you, and obviously Ivan Flock a pro in another card game coming across to Hearthstone and doing quite well by the look of things.
Yeah, we see as we look across the forests of Slovakia, I guess that's classed as. A lot of players that have come into Hearthstone. It always interests me actually because it's like, have you played other games before competitively, whether card games or not, just esports in general or stuff? And a good chunk of them are like, oh yeah, I played for like 10 years. And you're like, oh, awesome. And then some people and some of the best players are like, nope. Not played anything before. Hearthstone's just cool, and I started playing it, and now I'm awesome. I'm like, great. I was like, I've played games for years, and I'm still bad.
Yeah, I know. Sick people. It's not fair.
But we can see the lineups here. It's going to be a best of 5 between these teams, so each player can potentially get 1 point for their team. Deathlord going up against Richie first. In a best of 1, they pick one class from the 2 they have on offer. So Deathlord is going to pick Druid or Rogue to go against Richie's Mage or Shaman. And Druid and Rogue, very interesting, 2 classes that can potentially be very aggressive, or what I would imagine myself to, if I was in that position, it would probably be Jade or Quest. Right, because Quest is, although it's weak to aggressive decks, is an aggressive deck itself, and then Jade does the opposite, so beats out a lot of the even slower decks that you might have a chance against.
But leading off strong, like you're losing one of your best classes, not even getting to play it by pairing those two together. It's a great partnership of classes, but you're going into game 2 if you haven't won the first one with a big disadvantage, having lost 2 of your good classes in one go. So you really need to win this first match. Yeah,
and with Deathlord coming up first, I know again, you and Sol were covered Greece last week. You were talking a lot about Deathlord and some nerves. Like, do you want to just recap on that for the people who may not have tuned in?
Sure. So Like a Boss was basically, he sent me an essay when I asked him for some feedback. Cheers, dude. He was basically saying that Deathlord is one of the great players. He's one of the guys who's really good at spotting mistakes, but he does get a bit anxious when he's playing. And yet last time he was the anchor guy, so obviously he was driving whilst under pressure. Maybe he feels more comfortable, maybe he feels less pressure when he's doing that. But that was interesting to know about him. And like I say, last time he did not let them down at all, finishing off in the final game there.
Yeah, and they got the win over Portugal, right? Which I know was a very close series. I was sat watching it for a start. But even in terms of the kind of rivalry between those two countries in general, so pretty of a big deal there. Whereas you see Richie, not so much tournament performance in terms of Hearthstone, but has been playing since pretty much the release of the game and has finished top 100 ladder. So just yet another way, these teams have been put together is you see, top-end well-known pros, RDU, for example, you just know who he is if you follow competitive Hearthstone. Then you have people who generally just haven't played the game that much, but, have got some good
victories. Still the anchor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's done okay on ladder, but no one's heard of
tournaments. Exactly. So, and then you've got content creators and stuff. So it's a true mixed bag of players, as you can see them both getting ready there. Deathlord, it's really funny when you see him on camera playing, because to me, when I've hung out with Deathlord, he's the most jovial, loud, funny guy, always ready for a joke. On camera, he's like,
I'm terrified.
Yeah, it's just like robot Deathlord coming from the future to win Hearthstone.
Wow.
It's just super, super serious. It's crazy.
Mr. Deathloid.
Yeah, and then you look at Like a Boss.
Yeah, who's just the most his face crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. So, in terms of Druid and Mage, what are we? We've seen a lot of Freeze Mage actually today, which I just didn't expect at all, which was strange, and maybe we'll see Freeze Mage again. But from the Druid, it's the tough call, right? You don't even know what you're mulliganing for. That's the real problem when you're up against that class.
Although, have we even seen an aggro Druid today? Maybe one.
Yeah, we've seen one.
We saw one.
Yeah, there was a living mana win, basically.
Yeah, like you do, just clear the board, get killed, play living mana, win.
Exactly,
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of Jade. I think Jade's so good now because it's so good against control, and it can get the win. Like, if it gets the reverse, when it gets against the aggro deck, it shouldn't be favourite, but with
scales,
the Scales...
Reaper, you know, you've definitely got the options there. But I do agree. I mean, Falcon talked about it at last series as well, that I think Jade is just a step ahead of aggro Druid in general, especially for a format that you can't ban. Yeah. Right? You can't just choose to say, well, I'm not going to play against Pirate Warrior. Well, you might. It's not your choice, friend. So, you know, you kind of have to deal with it. Looks like the players are ready going into the first game between Greece and Slovakia. It's going to be the Jade Druid. We see the Talk Reaper. It's going to be against Freeze Mage. So suddenly, no one sent us the memo. All the cool kids play Freeze Mage now.
I mean, I knew it all along. I told you about Discover Mage and the glyphs. Yeah, well, Frost Nova's actually good in Freeze Mage.
Frost Nova's good in Discover Mage if you need to stall the board to play Pyro next turn.
Anyway, it's going to be that matchup that I suspect we're going to see this more and more. Personally, if people are starting to play Freeze Mage again, I mean, I'm surprised as you are, to be perfectly honest, that we're getting so much.
You like Druid, though, right, in this matchup?
I do like Druid. I like Druid in every matchup, nearly. Honestly, I think it's just good at the moment.
The power level of the deck is pretty high, but the differences between pre-standard and post is that, well, one, Ice Lance isn't a card anymore that you can play, which is a lot of burst, but you can still Primordial Glyph into cards that are almost Ice Lance, you know, so you can get 2 mana Fireballs, 0 mana Frostbolts, so...
The deck is fine for, I think Freeze Mage is fine, but double Scales, double Feral Rage is such a problem.
That's what's changed on the Druid side, right? Feral Rage has been around for a while, 16 health. Okay, but Alexstrasza kind of negates the 16 to a certain extent. But then double Scales when you can scale for like 10. Like, you know, potentially, or even just 7 and 8 is actually like 30, just over 30 additional health most of the time.
Yeah, and the Mage has lost some of the Druid's games. And also the Druid didn't always play double Feral because it had the option to play Mulch, which kind of was interchangeable with it to some degree. That's gone. So now people just go, okay, double Feral automatic, not even a decision anymore.
It's kind of weird that the lack of Mulch is a problem in some decks, actually, you know, in some matchups even, but it's made the deck list even stronger in others because it doesn't have to run Mulch. You just don't care. It's like, just keep killing them, it's fine. But
And I'm not keen on Jason Joe's naturalized tech personally.
Okay.
I feel that that's just pushing it too much. Just take your lumps. If they play a 12-toy Edwin, just scoop up and play the next game.
Okay, so... Look at the opening hands here. Jade Blossom, and a Jade Behemoth is available for Greece and for Deathlore. No Wild Growth, which has got to hurt a little bit. Also off the coin, which is a frustration. But going Blossom is going to be pretty nice, being able to just ramp up quickly versus the Freeze Mage that doesn't normally do anything in the early game.
Right, and... just getting those Jades, as you said, getting that 8 to 10 armor later from the Earthen Scales, as long as you don't get completely stiffed on the Jades and you haven't done, then you're absolutely fine here.
Although this is a frustration. This kind of is the counter to the Jade Blossom on curve, is that you just give the Mage card draw. Wrath is an option, but can you afford to Wrath? I guess you can Wrath and then just Blossom into Behemoth next turn.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad, actually, when you word it like that. You are slowing down a touch, but you're going to miss a step next turn to some degree anyway. I think I prefer denying the card draw.
Yeah, I agree now. It feels bad, but also next turn you paying 3 mana on a 5 mana turn, hero power in to create a 2/2. You know, whereas you could just do it the other way, get rid of this card draw.
What's interesting though is if he does go for the Wrath, what does he do next turn when the second Acolyte gets dropped? Does he swipe it then?
Cry.
He cries.
Yeah, you just be like, damn, he's drawn cards. Yeah, it's a big problem, but I don't think you can presume there's going to be a second Acolyte,
You definitely can't, right? I'm just saying that that's the thing that's going to be interesting. If he does go with the Wrath line, he kind of commits to the killing Acolytes line, then next turn he's going to be really sad. See if he goes with it. I think this is correct, by the way. I just think that it's going to work out tragically badly for him.
I mean, next turn he might swipe. And just say, okay.
I think he'll have to,
yeah. Just say, you know what, you got me. Good work, Richie.
So Richie's seen how hard that one was to deal with, so you don't mess around waiting for turn 5, I don't think. Playing Loot Hoarder seems really wasteful. In Freeze Mage, especially in an unfavoured matchup, you can't afford to waste any resources, and mana's one of those resources.
Yeah, if you weren't going to play Acolyte, I'd almost rather play Ice Block over Loot Hoarder that turn, just to fill out your curve.
And now Deathlore has that decision to make that we saw coming. If you've gone this far in on the denial, do you just now swipe? And you don't play your Jade Blossom until turn 5 that you've had in your opening hand.
Yeah, and obviously the later you play ramp, the much less impactful it is, because ramping from 5 to 7 is normally, especially against a control deck, nowhere near as important as being like 1 to 2 mana ahead on turn 3 and 4.
I mean, yeah, you get that mana every turn till turn 2 you get to 10 mana. So if you do it on turn 5, you're only gaining an extra 4, and if you do it on turn 2, it gets up to whatever 10 minus 2 is.
Yeah,
6 or something.
10 minus 2 is 6. You learn it here first, HPG. Yeah. Lorinda Games.
I wasn't called Lorinda Numbers.
Lorinda Maths.
Lorinda Maths.
Okay, so I
think you go with a swipe. You made the decision last turn you want to deny the cards. I don't think that has actually changed. It's just not fun.
The change is you can J-Blossom into Behemoth.
Okay,
that's the change, right? Because if you J-Blossom, if you swipe this turn, what are you doing next turn? Like, then it's really bad next turn. But if you do swipe, you are, as you said, denying the card draw, which is very, very important indeed, because already there's enough card draw. There's already been 2 additional cards, right? So this is a huge problem. Now Arcane Intellect, Rich is just going to draw his deck.
So Loot Hoarder into Glyph here looks like, again, just using all of that mana so important, I think.
Yeah, if you're going to Glyph, you Glyph first, though, right? I wouldn't be surprised that you Loot Hoarder ping. Just ping the armor.
Sure.
You don't need to Glyph yet, right?
Yeah, the longer you can leave it, the more information.
Yeah. I like just chipping here.
Yeah, and anytime you ping and you ping armor, it's not wasted. Obviously, if you're pinging health total, it's different because Alexstrasza will probably reduce that health total anyway at some point.
Yeah, and also, as you mentioned a very good point where Glyph is very, very flexible. Glyphing on, say, like this early when you're like, what do I even need?
Yeah, do I need a Pyro? Do I need a Blizzard?
Exactly, you have no clue. And in this matchup, as you said, probably very important. Do I need a 1-mana Frost Nova, or do I need Pyro to end the game? It's tough, right?
And it's a good point about the 1-mana Frost Nova. That is so crucial with no Emperor anymore, to just have the option of turn 10, Alexstrasza, Frost Nova, then you can get your second block or whatever down behind. Yeah. That is so often a winning play.
Archaeologist, the card, Mad Scientist should have been. Really cool card, though, although, I'm a fan of powerful cards in general.
You're just a wild guy, Raven.
I'm a wild guy. So Mad Scientist, because I used to be a Hunter player as well, it was, a card I enjoyed a lot, but this is a cool card because it's just, it does it all in the right ways, and even the 2/3 is kind of better for trading. So
Raven is adapting, ladies and gentlemen, with the Ongoro release.
I'm learning. Slowly but surely we'll get there. Jade Spirit's going to help ramp up the Jades again, but I do feel like this is just going to be a Behemoth turn.
Yeah, Behemoth seems good. Just keep making stuff, because turn 7... Oh, this is turn 7.
Yeah. Well, it's not turn 7.
It's number 7. Lorinda Maths. Actually, Blossom... The problem with playing the Blossom, obviously, is you've got your Auctioneer on 9, you might want, or even on 10. But, I don't know, Jade Spirit, Jade Blossom actually might be better. Just, again, both sides using their mana. Not quite so important for the Druid, of course. But still fundamentals.
And you still have the Earthen Scales for the Gadget Zen if you really want. And, like later on. Because my worry with like Jade Blossom here is you have 1 spell in hand. So Gadget Zen's just pointless for the next X turns. But that 1 spell is that you end up in hand is Scales, which is 1 mana. So okay, seems good.
The one awkward thing here is going to be this Primordial Drake. Like, you really want to get it down. 4/8's a chunky minion. It's hard to deal with for the mage. It's going to get in for 4, 8, or 12. It's going to get for quite a bit. But you've just made a board full of really weak minions. So that's not coming down anytime soon. You almost want the mage to clear this up so you can drop the Drake.
Well, at worst, depending on how this lines up, of course, you can, on the board as it looks now, go 1/1/2/2 into the 2/3. And just say, well, my other 2 minions survive. And yeah, they survive on 1, but it's better than nothing.
From the mage point of view, he's had a bit of card draw. It's all been blown up. And that thing you never want to happen, too many secrets drawn, 2 drawn, 1 fetched, is always a little bit awkward.
Yeah. I do like getting the ice block down now, though. Yeah. It's as safe as it's going to be. You've got nothing good to do with your turn. You can flame strike next turn anyway, and you just get the ice block down. It opens up some space. There's still Arcane Intellect. Primordial Glyph isn't going to do any harm in terms of it sort of cycles itself into your hand.
Right.
So you do need to make up that room a little bit.
Decision time for Greece, what they're going to do with the Drake. If you don't play the Drake now, I almost feel you never play it. Because you're going to get a wider and wider board and you're just going to end up blowing up more. You're going to do more damage to your own minions, basically.
Yeah, I think the Drake's fine now.
You don't want to Drake your 6/6s and 7/7s and put them into Flame Strike range on turn 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
So if you're going to play it, you play it now after trading in. If you aren't going to play it, you just suck it up and get on with it and play all the other minions.
I wouldn't mind it now. I think as well you get, 7 of the 8 Ice Barrier damage done this turn, when you play Drake as well. So you can push the 2-2, the 3-3 and the 2-3 in, then the 1-1 goes into 2-3 and you Drake. So you kind of negate almost the Ice Barrier. But he's just going to go for more Jade Generation. Interesting.
One thing that's good about this play is it just completely and utterly destroys Blizzard as a card.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, don't kill any of my things then, see if I care.
And even Flame Strike to a large extent.
Yeah.
Right? Because, so what? Like, you get Flame Striked, great. My Jades are gone. I have a 3-6 on the board. Well, a 3-2 on the board. And then you just play gadgets and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, well, great. Like, that Flame Strike's gone. Perfect.
So at some point soon, I'm not saying that point is now, these glyphs are going to be really handy because of the Archmage.
Yeah, I think double glyph could be a turn.
Yeah, maybe not this turn, but it might be as well. But,
no, I think this
soon,
turn, yeah.
You think this turn?
Yeah. Because think, there are so many spells that make that glyph make 0 mana or 1 mana that you could just like Archmage, Nova spell, like
sure.
Nova Frostbolt, for example. You get two fireballs, and Antonidas is on the board with a frozen board. Like,
then you start throwing fireballs around.
Yeah, exactly. I do like the draw first. Of course, you do want to see what's actually going to come out your deck first. I do think this is a turn for double glyph.
And that sets you up for turn 10, not necessarily even for the next turn, just for soon.
Oh, you don't have to do it next turn.
Yeah, you just want to get it over with by turn 10, ready for that Frost Nova turn. Which means they'll probably try and work in at least one of them anyway.
Yeah, because now the issue is if you Nova, then everything's super awkward, right? Okay, just going to fish another secret out of the deck. Is there any left?
I think there's
not
one,
right.
and there might be...
No, there's not, yeah. He's played double barrier and the second
double barrier.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spot the guy's playing way too much Secrets Mage recently.
Yeah. Oh. Vandal Nourish.
It's still okay on turn 10. It's obviously much better when you play Vandal on 4 and Nourish on 5, but it's okay.
I mean, it makes Vandal 2 mana effectively, right? So you do end up with 3 mana spare, and with the gadgets then in hand, I just want to draw cards for gadgets at this point, right? You want the Jade Idols if you can, and if you draw one Jade Idol, perfect. Vandal's already on the board.
The weird thing with the Jade Idols in this matchup is not so much about using them to hit your opponent's face. It's the bigger your Jade Idols get, the more armor you gain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're trying to get to a point where you just gain so much armor that they cannot kill you. You really don't want to use that scales for 5 or 6. You want to use it for 12 or something.
It's going to be Nourish, another Gadget Zan, a Wild Growth. Not fantastic, although with a sort of spare Gadget Zan to a certain extent, you can just Gadget Zan Wild Growth cycle next turn for an additional 3 cards. But yeah,
seems good.
Yeah, I've heard that's a pretty good play. Oh, it's Wild Growth in this turn. Interesting. What do you think of that? Trying to just fish for Jade?
No, he's got 2 mana spare, so he's just going to set up the excess mana for the Auctioneer.
Sure.
Alright, and this is weird, right? Because Druid you'd think is the aggro in this matchup, but actually the Freeze Mage has to do the work.
Yep.
The Druid can sit there and put this pressure on, but it doesn't need to be actually... It knows it's probably not going to win with this pressure in the short term. It's all about getting that armor.
What's really interesting as well is this board, the way it looks now, kind of benefits Richie. He could just chain freeze this board if he gets Novas, right? Then the Jades can only get so big. Jades continue to grow if you keep playing cards, but don't hit the board if the board's full.
Counterspell might not be the worst if they wait for the right time.
I'm just thinking Ice Block, +1 turn.
Counterspell plus -10 armor.
I mean,
snipe it. Can you
your
snipe
opponent's always going to play around that because he knows any more secrets now are from...
How many spells are left in their deck?
Well, there's a Nourish that you can just throw.
Right. And there's an excess mana. What about if they've been played?
Unlimited Jade Idols. That's how many spells are in the deck.
Shh. What about if they get countered? It's not unlimited then.
You just do the other one. It's fine.
I'm trying here, Raven.
I know.
Okay, so he takes a Flame Strike and he's going to be able to just clear up twice with it at some point. Interesting, because I'd have preferred the block to the Flame Strike, I must admit. But he is...
I agree.
He's down to only 1 freeze and he's trying to save that for the turn we talked about.
Now, Nourish value indeed. There's a Feral Rage. It's going to be important. I do... It's really... So, how much do you have? You have 4, 7...
Wrath your own 3-1? Actually, no. Wrath's something. You save the Wrath and you kill some of your own later.
Yeah.
You force them to deal with all the stuff first, and if they try and do the freeze thing, you start doing
It's only 2 mana, right? So it's fine.
you can kill Antonidas and things with it, and even an Alex Strauss if you get into some sort of weird pressure. That's the other problem the freeze mage has. If it can't establish like the Medivh's Valets and the Archaeologists, which it can't against Jade, it doesn't get that little chip damage in that helps it so much, and so the Druid just doesn't have to worry about anything apart from Antonidas, Archmage, and keep a spare card for rainy day in case there's some weird, I'm not even going to say the Y word, but in case there's some weird tech card thrown in there to catch you off guard.
Go for Jade Spirit. This does open the board up to a Nova play, although as we said, the Wrath onto the 3-1 can deal with this. And also it's just pressuring a hell of a lot of damage, let's be honest. You know, Richie is now on 12 after this turn, which means he's going to have to make something happen pretty quick. That is Alex Strauss.
That's a something, and it's going to happen, but he hasn't got lethal in hand.
You just do it though, right?
I think you might have to.
It's one of those turns we talked about earlier, where if you don't make the plays, buying turns as Freeze Mage does nothing.
Right.
You have to do something with it. And I think at this point, you just have to, Alex.
Yeah, your opponent can't play things onto the board, and they're not going to kill you because your block's up, and then next turn you can block and fireball. It's okay.
Is he going for Glyph now?
Yeah, I mean, this is a clear, so he feels that he's got one more turn in. But the downside of this play, of course, is what you talked about a minute ago, is the Jades just get bigger.
You've just seen your opponent double nose draw. Like, they got stuff.
I was going to say, you know he's got a handful of Jades. As it happens,
he
hasn't got a handful
He
of
will have, though, after this 18,000 draws this turn.
18,000 draws is so many.
Yeah, so it's definitely more than 17,000.
That's a lot of fatigue.
Not with Jades. Don't fatigue with Jades,
That's a lot of Jades. That's a lot of board space and a big hand.
There's actually a secret card art for the 18,000 Jade.
I'm not surprised.
Just a picture of me, painted green. Try and find
I'm just looking. There is no Raven level.
What would you have to do? Play... there is actually a limit on Jades, unfortunately, for the Jade Mirror.
Ah. See? I learn something new every day.
Well, that's a Jade. It's going to get cycled, I imagine.
Yeah, looks good. Cycling first before doing any wild growth options. And there's a second Earthen Scales, and that's pretty good.
What do you think of not putting 3 Jades in the deck there? Because I thought with the second gadget Zan, you just throw them in and go. You know what I mean? And then, and then your next gadget Zan will probably start going Jade.
I'd have liked to see that happen, actually, but...
I guess there's the idea of just procking the block.
And also, yeah, there is no other Jade in your hand, and maybe there's just that tiny thing you think, we can't lose this if nothing dumb happens.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just feeling that that's the only way we lose if we don't gain this 8 armor somehow. Maybe something crazy happens. Well... Oh, also it sets up procking, like you just...
Yeah. Antonidas Nova can deal with stuff. It's going to have Flame Strike for 7, though. Ugh.
Excuse me, you are on...
And generating that chip damage that they need to generate to try and win this game, that's an important 2 and potentially another 4 points of chip damage, plus they bought a turn as well. That's good.
Yeah, this is actually a really sneaky play here. It's going to get some work done. Seeing the lines here for Slovakia overall. But this is, I mean, there's still just a lot of armor. There's still scales on the far left that we've not seen yet. So it's still going to be an uphill climb.
Yeah, not to mention this 4/8 Drake that must be so tempting right now.
Is there ever Drake Innovate Swipe?
Maybe, because you want to protect this armor. This armor is actually invaluable. You don't want to... Oh, it's not you're not on 33 health. The way Alex Strauss works, you want to protect this 6. This is 6 that survives Alex Strauss, so you don't want to tank one into the face if you can possibly help it. So maybe it is your play.
And do you like really need the Innovate anymore? You know what I mean? Like,
not really. You've got the excess mana.
And like, your Jades are big enough that you can play 1 to 2 Jades in a turn, and they're big enough to to thingy as well. We're gonna see the. You might just say, okay, well, the 2/2s will.
This is the resource protecting play. He's actually going face with it.
Yeah, because the two attack, the Valets, sorry, will just go into the Drake, right? They can't go anywhere else. If there's a Pyroblast on the Drake, then you're like, sweet. You know, like 10 damage saved.
They can't go anywhere else. The Valet is just busy telling everyone they're on fire and then just walking into Drakes.
And then the Dragon's like, yeah, I'm a dragon.
Of course I'm on fire. Yeah.
Huh?
Fetch me another drink.
The Valet's like, touche,
Of
friend.
fire.
Touche. You win this round.
But I will get you in the end. I don't think he's going to get anyone in the end here.
And Alex Strauss is like, someone say fire? And just appears out of nowhere, drops Deathlore down to, what is that, 22 health?
15 health and 7 armor.
Lorinda
maths.
Lorinda maths, yeah, strikes again.
Okay, so just a multitude of options here. You'd want to get the Aya down just to get the armor built up again. You'd want to get cycling some of these cards, get your Jade. You'd want to kill this 8/8 because it might hurt.
Yeah, the Alex Strauss is kind of tricky. I'm wondering whether you play the other Drake, trade, and then Wrath. And yeah, it's your whole turn, but you're not going to get 22, right? You can't.
Right.
Because you've seen one glyph and you've seen the glyph card used.
Yeah, just Cobalt is not a thing. That happens.
Exactly. So you can't get 22'd, and then you can go like Aya into Scales, into Feral Rage, and you have a 4/8 on the board.
This is the sort of turn that Ungoro produces more and more with these big hand turns. And this is where if your team is organised, because your play's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it's the best play because there's so many options here. Where if your team's organised, all 4 of you are looking at different lines, and eventually someone will say, "This is it, can you find anything better than this?" And you just keep advancing until you find the best possible you can find in the time.
I mean, this play is also pretty good as well.
Right.
Similar to mine, except you develop more Jade. So you know what? Okay, Deathlore, you win this round. Deathlore 1, Raven 0.
But there were so many ways of doing roughly this. It's like everyone, what's your board state when you finished?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Scary. You've seen a swipe. There aren't that many ways that Druid can deal with Antonidas outside of, if they use Feral Rage. Okay. Like, no armor for you, friend.
They do, however, have Wrath Feral Rage, but like you say, no armor for you, my friend, if you do that. And they're down to their last scales.
Yeah, Wrath Feral Rage almost is Antonidas generating additional fireball to face, right? Because they have to face tank
Sure.
it, so.
I got the best deals.
This looks like Innovate, Feral Rage, Wrath, and possibly even the scales at the end.
I think so. Oh, second Innovate.
That might help if they can pick up an idol here.
That Jade Idol.
Feels like they could do with having 3 Jade idols in that deck.
Question as well, why not excess mana? Just churn in the hand.
Oh, because they're trying to get rid of the Jade idol first and then cycle into it.
Right. Now they want the free cycle. Sure. Well, this just got filthy.
Yeah, they're going to gain what is known in the trade as a lot of armor.
18,000.
In other trades, it's known as other things, but I'm probably not allowed to say those.
So, the Feral Rage going in there. Now, additional Jade Idol, and to no one's surprise, here comes the Scales. Casual +9. It still doesn't seem like too much.
He's not happy because he might have to take a fatigue if he does that.
Oh, he's not going to do it. So that's 15. 2 off.
And again,
Imagine if you got slipped glyph in earlier. I made it like a frostbolt, for example.
Well, it doesn't matter if he slipped in the glyph words earlier. Greece couldn't make that play.
That's true. Yeah,
it doesn't matter what the card was they took from it, even if it's shatter like it always is, just because they couldn't make that play.
This is nuts because now there's just there's 8, potentially 10. There's 18 additional armor, but that's really it now. You know the druid's out of cards. You know what they've got left.
But it's a lot you've got to do. What damage is left in the deck for Slovakia? They've got 2 Frostbolts. 2 Fireballs, that's 12. Frostbolts, 15. 2 Frostbolts, that's 18.
Pyro.
That's 28.
Will they play Pyro with Antonidas?
Maybe.
I don't know what the new hipster freeze made
with
deck
Flame Strike as well, maybe not.
This Blizzard is actually massive.
The problem is it doesn't kill the Auctioneer, which means that they can go completely nuts on these idols with 10 mana and just cycle them through. They can only put 3 on the board, of course, unless they kill one of their own somehow, which I don't think they can do.
Well, if they really want, they can keep cycling the power of the Jades anyway. It's just they won't come onto the board.
Yeah.
I mean,
which means you can't use the armor for this, but yeah. It means that later on.
Yeah. If they get cleared, then there's a space. Suddenly you've got a 20/20 Jade, and then you armor.
And again, this is where the teams need to organise. It's somebody's job on Greece here to work out the most damage Slovakia can do in 1 turn and in 2 turns, whilst everybody else goes through the mechanics of how do we get the biggest Jade on the board.
Yeah.
This is where you need more than 75 seconds, and with 4 people, you've got a lot more than that if you split it up right.
Yeah, team organization is definitely super important, and who's doing what roles. Because if everyone's trying to do the same thing, it's going to make a mess.
Deathlord there was very careful to make his ordering, so he knew he has to hero power every turn. So he did that while he was still thinking, knowing that that's a thing that needs doing.
hero power happens, so
And
you
then
press it.
Feral Rage happens, and then you just start worrying about how you're going to do the Jade mechanics afterwards.
It's like reverse engineering your turn, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's like you don't do the fancy stuff first. You go backwards and say, this always gets pressed, this always gets pressed, this always gets pressed. What else can happen
Because
now?
of time constraints. Obviously,
Exactly.
that's not 100% efficient if you've got forever to do it in exactly the right order, but you just do it because you've got time constraints. Stop yourself from forgetting it. And when you've got a player who, again, it was like a boss who said Deathlord's a bit anxious, sometimes that's handy because they're also very precise, those sort of people.
So there's 13 with ping this turn. Opponent's on 25. I do like the glyph start because you're only doing 13. Is that... No Bernardino
This
is a problem.
is what happens when I play glyphs. Now you're seeing the other side.
I wouldn't know what the other side looks like. No, joking around, joking aside, sorry. Richie really needed burn. Any burn card, even a frostbolt, would have been good. Anything. Because you need all the damage you can get, and the reduced banked mana means that you can do turns you shouldn't be allowed to do a lot of the time. I do think now it probably has to be Fireball, Frostbolt, Ping. I think you need to ping every turn.
Yes. Yeah, well, they're armoring up every
It's
turn,
free
so you've got to
damage,
ping
yeah,
every
yeah.
turn.
Oh, he's just going for double Fireball, okay. Maybe there's a Pyroblast left.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Pyroblast.
Could well be. And even if there's not, I mean, you've got to at least start throwing damage at face, and
especially with his armor. Yeah, well, the armor's not going anywhere, mate. It's like, you've got to hit it. Next turn has to be an ice block as well, because the block's going to be procced. And this just gives 2 turns total for Slovakia. So this turn, this is why. So it can be Fireball, Ice Block, Frostbolt this turn, and then maybe Pyroblast if drawn, if it's even in the list. So that's why you have to go double Fireball.
meanwhile,
Jades.
Jades are happening, and they're happening bigly.
So now there's going to be a 12 armor gain. Could still get through it.
And get through it, but they've got to make sure they don't die at the same time. And
Oh, no, they can't. Yeah, it won't work, because they have to play Ice Block.
1818 is where we see the super Jade, by the way.
Oh, is it? Did you confirm that?
I did check it.
Okay, Deathlord, all on you, mate. 1818, kill your own gadgets then. Or kill off fire. Perfect.
Yeah, and we see the Jade stomping on a town or something.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. I've seen the picture, it's so good.
If you don't know what we're talking about, tough. Check out. So,
Yeah. You know what we're talking about? Here's your challenge for the week. We'll check in next week on HGG if you got to 18 Jades in any of your games.
Oh no, you just ruined ladder. Everyone's going to do this at the end of every game now.
Believe it or not, there's a couple of people playing Jades on ladder anyway.
Yeah, but they don't usually go to 18, they just win the game.
That's true.
Now everyone's going to meme.
People are just
Oh, people meme anyway. Anyway, how on earth did Slovakia keep this damage coming? They've got to do 26. Well, they can get close.
Can they?
No?
Yeah, Fireball, Frostbolt. The lack of so was Polymorph Potion picked off the... Oh, it was picked off that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was an option for additional Ice Block earlier.
Yeah, they took Flame Strike for 5.
Yeah, so although, yes, they could have been procced earlier, so fine. But all I mean is the Ice Block in situations like this is exactly why you want a third one.
It did feel like the Flame Strike didn't actually do anything. I may be wrong. It may have been that they saved a lethal somewhere down the line, but it just looks like this was always going to be the board state.
Yeah.
And so the Flame Strike was just delaying this inevitability, but not even by a whole turn, just by numbers.
Yep.
Just by the size of the inevitability, not the actual death.
Well, because it doesn't matter. The board doesn't matter, right? Hero power wins in the game here.
Yeah.
So, okay, keep going. Keep going.
Look how big the deck is. Fill your deck up with like 90 Jade items. Let's see if it just grows across the board.
Yeah, what happens when a deck goes up to like 100 cards and you're like...
I don't know if there's like a picture for that size, but I think the cards should just spill all over the table.
Yeah.
Oh, Frost Nova Doomsayer. That'll let the 1818 appear.
If it goes that far.
Yeah.
Are we going to concede?
Well, they can Frostbolt face. They can freeze everything up.
That's true.
And they seem determined to do so as well.
Mean, it depends what's left in the deck, right? It really does. Like, sometimes you're just going to play all this out. There's one more card.
Bottom card. Where's Falk? Yogg-Saron.
Imagine it wins.
Pew, 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 pew. Just
double greater healing potion to your face. Frost Nova. Pyroblast to enemy face.
Or just 10 mind controls.
I mean, that'll work.
It really will.
It's going to go for it, to be fair. There's nothing your opponent can do about it.
Yeah, why not?
You know there's no burn left in hand.
In fact, you know what the
Kinda
hand
crazy.
is pretty much.
Yeah, that's what
a
I'm saying,
handful
like-
of jades.
It all depends on what his last card is.
So if it is pyro, it's not enough, right?
He can do 6 this turn.
And there's never any fatigue.
Yeah,
ever.
there's never fatigue, so yeah. Still funny though.
No,
Well,
frostbite
no.
again next turn. Sorry.
No, he doesn't have to Doomsday, right? Doomsday does nothing. So he pings, and
Sure.
he needs 3 miracle damage. This
But he needs to frostbolt
This
next
potion
turn.
of polymorph.
Oh, there's only one card left.
Yeah, this potion of polymorph needed to be frostbolt for 0 mana, and then this last card needs to be pyroblast. All things that I'm pretty sure can't happen because we can see potion of polymorph.
Going for the bluff there. I'm not quite sure how it works, but hey.
He's burning the cards out though. Starting to try and burn through this Jade deck, making him overdraw.
Love the focus here from Deathlord, by the way. It's so easy in these situations to make a mistake. Not quite necessarily in this, but maybe 2 or 3 turns ago.
Oh, it was pyroblast.
Only 4 damage off winning.
If there was
But they just can't ever get the last 4.
any burn glyphed, this game changes. This game is lost. Wow.
Well played.
It was Pyro, the last card. What a game to kick off Greece versus Slovakia. Deathlord taking the win, and he said he gets a bit anxious, a bit nervous whilst playing, but these wins he keeps getting must help, right? You're like, okay, won that one. Okay, this week won that one as well. Got to feel very, very relaxed in general. So, what a game. I think I need a rest.
Yeah, and it was like a boss who said he gets anxious. I know that some people, when they're very focused, look anxious. You've sort of got this whole... Sorry, staring into your souls there. But yeah, this whole thing, so you look anxious, but actually you're just really mega concentrating. There's more than one pro player who isn't nervous at all, who looks like they're terrified.
Yeah. So, you can see how the matchup's gone already. So we see the Druid taking the win there for Greece and for Deathlord. And now Cebu, shock horror, picks the Warrior over the Warlock. Sounds like a start to a weird poem. Pavel 1111 going to be playing the Paladin as opposed to the Hunter. And again, we've talked about this multiple times. Warrior versus Paladin. Yeah, it could be Pirates, but I feel more and more we see Control. Although I think today we have seen a lot of Pirates.
I've seen a few pirates, but one of them was in Rogue.
That's true.
Why not?
The old Pirate Rogue.
Always nice of Pavel to put the other Pavel's recent results first
Yeah.
after his name.
That's pretty reasonable. Yeah, people might think is the wrong one, but now this is a different Pavel. People are allowed the same name. We are not pushing unique names on anyone. There you go. That doesn't look like our current world champion to me. But yeah, he's playing for Slovakia. And Cebu just getting ready there. Is it dark where he is? He's got his curtains closed, I guess. I was like, I'm pretty sure it shouldn't be that dark, although I don't even know what time it is. I'm very organised.
You don't know what time it is.
No, it's Hearthstone time. Okay.
What time it is? He beat me to it. I hate you, Raven.
That was
Guys, it's going to be Hearthstone time in a minute. It's been Hearthstone time all day. Tomorrow as well, we've got a lot of good stuff coming up. Yep. Several teams in action tomorrow that I know of for sure, like Germany, Canada, Denmark, Austria. Some of these big teams. It's going to be good fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of breakpoints tomorrow as well. Like you look at Germany, 0-2 down.
Yeah,
at the
0-2.
moment.
If you miss that one, you're nuts, or you don't like Germany.
I mean, yeah, both. If there's, I'm joking. If there's, the 0-2 down actually, so if they actually lose and go 0-3, that becomes not impossible, but very, very, very difficult.
Especially as one of those losses was a 3-0. So
in
if they did happen to lose tomorrow, right in the group of death.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty rough. But for now, we've got Greece versus Slovakia. Greece 1-0 up, and it's going to be their Warrior versus Slovakia's Paladin. We've seen a lot come out from Paladin and all ends of the spectrum here in terms of the more Murloc-focused aggressive lists. We saw, oh my god.
Buffs.
We saw Black Fire Ice take the Ultra Control N'Zoth Paladin, had double Ivory Knight in it, for example. And then, we saw the Paladin with 2 Blessed Kings get him, and it worked.
Yeah, there was just no small stuff. It was just like Wicker Flame and Stone Hills.
Yep.
And that was it. And it's just like, he's going to make these really big.
Yeah,
and hit you with them. And it worked really well.
Yeah, very buff based. But yeah, I think the craziest one was definitely Black Fire Ices with the Control and Zoth Paladin. That deck was so greedy. So greedy. And he got against Taunt Warrior. And it's like, okay.
And that's what happens when metas slow down, is that people start getting greedy. And eventually, someone will get too greedy and get a pirate in the face.
Yeah, I mean, we see in tournament players, as tournaments develop over a few months as well, is that players will go, oh, throw my pen. Players will go greedier, greedier, and greedier. And normally it's the greedy players that win, right? But then, there's a point where someone goes, you know what, I'm done. Bust out. They break the lock.
And that's kind of what Bulgaria did. Like, here's just a bunch of rogue in your face.
Exactly, yeah. They just bust out the aggro decks and kind of just punish them. I think the players are just getting ready as well. We're just working out what's slowing them down. Maybe they're just chilling and focusing on exactly what they want to play. Probably just flicking accounts because not all all the players play on one account, but not all the players are playing in the same location. So one has to log off, one has to log on. Just a few minutes. So I think Slovakia are just getting ready to go into the game. Are you confident that Greece is going to take this?
I mean, Greece and the Philippines. I picked 2 teams at the start when everyone else picked 1 because they'd already lost a load of games.
I'm going to just cheat at the caster prediction game. So everyone pick a team. I'm having 2. Okay.
They were both 0-1 when I picked them.
Okay.
They weren't. But anyway,
there you go.
Greece and the Philippines were the 2 teams I picked, given that they were slightly lower tier than the teams you guys were picking, to be fair.
What are you on about? I picked South Korea.
Exactly. And yeah, so Greece is a team that I really would like to see. Well, again, the work Like a Boss has done to get the community together, very easy work because the community wanted to be together. Yeah. He just sort of directed a bit because he had a good HCT result, which sort of made him the head or the guy everyone looked up to.
Yeah, figurehead, yeah.
He's got the team, and I just like to see these communities get together. They're a really, really shining example of it. I'm not saying the other teams aren't. Just that Greece is my personal favourite one, apart from the Philippines, who will play in the same
Greece
building.
is my favourite apart from this place.
Hey.
Good to know.
Yeah?
What?
You just picked the home of esports for yours.
What's wrong with that? There you go.
Fanboy.
Doing pretty well so far. I think they're 2-1 at the moment, if I recall. South Korea.
They're your team.
All right. Well, don't keep up with it then. We have to work out what's going on here. I think Slovakia have actually just walked off at some point, and they're maybe just going to the bathroom. The whole of Slovakia as they're taking.
It's a big bathroom.
Yeah,
It's going to be very awkward.
Break. And but while they just get ready, let's talk about the rest of the Greece team as well. So there's Deathlaw, there's Like a Boss that we've been saying. What do you make of Logan? Because Logan we've seen playing often with Like a Boss on camera.
Right.
But what do you make of him as a player? Because I feel like he was around a lot early on in Hearthstone's life, I guess. And then sort of just he disappeared for a little bit, and now he's back with a vengeance for HG.
Yeah, and he's got a point to prove, I feel, as well. I think he was one of the guys that maybe some people didn't expect to get voted to the Greek team. And when he did, sort of one or two people were like, why isn't this guy in? Why isn't this guy in? And Logan's like, well, because I'm in, and I'm good. And
it's a good answer, actually. Why isn't this person in? Because I am.
And I think he's not only proved it here, but he's been proving it across other tournaments and across ladder and everything that, he's actually really, really good at this game. He just, like you said, sort of went missing for a little while, so people forgot a bit. He's playing for Panathinaikos now as well.
He's what?
He's playing for Panathinaikos.
Oh, okay.
There's no R's in that. You can't get me on that one.
How long did it take you to practice that?
I can say P's.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
It's about the only letter I can say, but hey, I've got that in my repertoire.
We are going to be casting a warrior soon, so that could be quite the joy indeed. And then, look at Slovakia. Slovakia are they 1-0?
They're 1-0. They won 3-0 against Korea. Why did I even bring it up? And that's their only match. And they haven't got any massive names in their team either. They're just a team of coming together. They've all got sort of HCT points. They've all make legend every season, and one or two have got some tournament results behind them. But again, for the large part, not much done in Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's kind of just another team that's sort of coming out of the woodwork, I would say, in terms of we have teams like Germany, which is just a who's who of professional Hearthstone players.
And as I say, Ivan Flock, he has got a huge Kibler-esque pedigree in a different card game.
Kibler-esque. Don't describe things like that. You'll just get even more confident. Can't be having that. Kibler, I mean.
Kibler,
not Ivan.
He'll get more confident.
Yeah.
And then he'll drag on. Anyway.
My God. Save me now. Save me now.
It's too late.
It is too late. You're already on the desk. Yeah, we're just actually checking on what's going on with Slovakia, because this seems to be a longer pause than is required for a bathroom break, for example. We're just checking sure everything there is okay in terms of actual connections and whether the client's working, whether someone's just been kidnapped. Mate, I'm joking. I hope. In terms of Warrior and Paladin.
Yes.
How does the matchup go in terms of if it's the Quest Warrior versus the
Yeah.
Paladin, because we've seen that Paladin almost always gets the better of Warrior. Is that the case in general in your experience?
I think the Paladin's favourite personally, but I don't think it's as big as people think it is. We've seen a lot of them win, so may have to reassess my position.
Oh yeah, but you know,
sometimes the Warrior just goes turn 10, make a dude, brawl, complete quest, and then the Paladin doesn't have enough refills sometimes, and the Warrior just starts hitting you in the face for 8 every other turn and killing minions every other turn, and the Paladin can run out of resources just. But a lot of the time, the Paladin's sitting there trying to do 6 damage and finds a way.
Yeah, it's all about, I think we saw earlier as well, like the early pressure. If Paladin can get on just a couple of minions to stick, start chipping away, then suddenly the second that weapon's active, it's just, you know, free range, basically. You can just say, okay, well, now you're just going to die, because Warriors have been cutting shield blocks and stuff as well now, where they're just not running any kind of healing and armor gain, so very straightforward game plan.
And I think we saw earlier, if they're playing a Blessing of Kings, and I think more and more Paladins are, that doesn't mean they all are by any stretch. I'm not saying it's even in half the decks, but Blessing of Kings is sneaking into decks. I'm not seeing double before today, but
yeah, that's
a single Blessing of Kings sneaks in and out. That, you saw the power of that against Warrior earlier, because just one minion smashing into those taunts are pretty fragile. They don't kill anything. They just survive.
Yeah.
You hit them with a 7/7, they just die.
Yeah, I think I've only really seen the 2 Blessed of Kings in like aggro not full aggro, but the aggressive Murloc list in terms of it pretty much just stops at 6 and 6 plus Tyrion, I guess.
I've seen the one in some decks. It's a thing that you run into sometimes. You go, oh, why is that there? And then you remember, oh yeah.
Speaking of Murlocs, we can check out my Murloc friend.
Yeah, we told you we'd have him on.
He's really small to see from this view. I don't know if we can get the close up, but I've actually picked a name for him. It's Neil.
Oh, no.
He looks like a Neil, doesn't he? If you just put this like this, you can probably tell the difference. So yeah, I'm just saying.
Wow.
You can sit on the edge. He's been watching the games today, having fun.
I'm on the edge. I've been on the edge for years, mate.
On the edge of our seat, waiting for this game to start, and I think we might have got it going in the end. We do apologize for the delay. We're just seeing, there we go, we can start. Sorry about the delay, team. It's going to be Cebu versus Pavel, the Warrior on the Paladin, the Pirates on the Holy Murlocs with a Kodo.
I didn't understand any of those words. Okay, Pirates versus Murlocs.
Yeah.
Sounds like a new hit game.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And the Zos first mate, great opening in general. This is going to be tricky, though, because the Zos first mate into War Axe kind of feels bad a lot of the time, but you still want a 1-drop into a 2-drop, right?
And you've got an option of drawing one of your other 3 drops. There's 2 Corsairs, there's another Berserker. So, not Corsairs, Cultists.
Yeah.
So if you draw one of those 3 cards, you can coin out the other one.
Yeah, actually looking good. Yeah.
And then you've got the War Axe if your opponent is a bit aggressive. So you've got choices. It's a fairly flexible looking hand. Yeah, there are some bad draws in there as well, but I feel that it's nice to have this 1-2-3 hand, and filling it in there with an upgrade means they can go 1-3-3 if you count the axe and the upgrade as 3 mana.
Yeah, and this Frothing Berserker is kind of huge, actually. I always feel like versus non-aggressive classes, because although, you know, we can see Rockpool Hunter and Murlocs often start early for Paladin, but it's not really an aggressive deck, right? It's a deck that can be aggressive, but the list isn't aggressive in itself. And like Frothing, you just dump it down on 3, and you're like, so what are you gonna do? Because you kind of have to deal with it, right? You know?
Right.
And them dealing with it is often so inefficient that
True
even
Silver.
if they kill it, you get ahead in the long run.
True Silver's not the efficient card it used to be in a lot of ways. Still a fantastic Hearthstone card, but taking your turn to equip it and then just hit 1 minion while there's floods of stuff happening.
It's because Pirates playing Zoo now, effectively, aren't they? They're playing like Zoo style as opposed to Face style.
Yeah, very much so.
And a second Frothing. Whew. Do it once, you got to do it twice.
This does look like the original build which Cross/Strife Crow were popularising. It's Cross just popularised everything, but this looks like the version with just a few Murlocs rather than everything going on, and the little bit extra late game.
Rather than anything going on.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, yeah.
For once. Okay, so Fire War Axe can even be used as like Fire War Axe coin upgrade, or Fire War Axe equip hit, and then have Frothing Berserker into upgrade if required. And there's so many little options now with what's available with the 3s and the coin. The next couple of turns for Cebu and Rockpool as a 2/3.
Frothing Berserker, bump, bump, bump.
Seems good to me.
And then next turn, Frothing Berserker.
An upgrade though.
Oh, so many options here.
It's actually insane.
Just Maybe it's just War Axe then, an upgrade. Or maybe it's just War Axe, actually.
Yeah, and just save the coin.
Save everything, yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that. You still push 2.
How much have you got next turn? If you go War Axe, you've got 4 mana next turn. So you've got 1 upgrade plus frothing left. You can kill pretty much everything next turn that way.
And I do like keeping the flexibility of the 1/1s on the board.
Yeah.
Because we can see that Hydrologist into Noble Sacrifice would be a problem, sort of, but you do have the weapon anyway. You know, you've got the weapon to follow up if you played Frothing this turn. But I do just like having the minions. If you draw a Captain, then these are insane. You know, they just get more and more and more value. He's going to go for Frothing on the triple trade. He's going to go for your play.
Yeah.
And he does have the War Axe to get through the Noble Sacrifice, which is the important part. If he didn't, and had no form of weapon or charge minion, you would not make this play.
One good thing with this play is it can't be dealt with immediately. It's going to eat 4. It's going to do 14.
Yeah.
This True Silver, 7 gets eaten next turn one way or another because you can upgrade War Axe to get through the defender. And even then, there's True Silver because that's 14 you eat just from 1 Berserker, and you don't
more,
really
right?
develop anything.
16 because they're
Sure,
made
'cause it
into
gets
the
even bigger.
Stonehill. Yeah. It's really good. And then your weapon's just enough to win because of the second upgrade.
Nice. Sogoth
Dread
is too
Corsair every
slow.
time. You have True Silver next turn.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't take Team Slovakia long to think about that one. Don't blame him at all. But now, Fiery Small Axe. He's going to trade.
Is that the official name? It is actually, yeah. It used to be Fiery Win Axe, but now it just smorks.
Yeah.
You used to just defend the board for 27 turns by hitting things all the time. Now, you just kill them. Or get them, as Raven would say.
Yeah.
You kids.
So many.
Crazy kid. I'm not a kid, Lorinda. Falcon's the kid here.
All right.
He's the young'un.
Falcons and Ravens.
And Lorinda's.
Surrounded by birds. And so...
No, I'm not going to go there.
The War Axe is to upgrade.
Moving swiftly on to good old-fashioned Hearthstone.
8 to face.
I'm surprised Cebu's actually taking this long over this turn. Like, are they
What do you think
really...
about next turn?
I guess.
Oh, actually, I suppose he's got the deckhand upgrade stuff. That buffs the Berserker even more.
But you just want the Fiery, right? Fiery upgrade up, like, this turn, and then you upgrade again, then you have an Ultimate Arcanite Reaper for free, and a Frothing Berserker. And next turn you can Frothing Berserker upgrade with the second one. Seems good to me.
Yeah.
There's a 5/3 weapon next turn.
I think they just wanted to make sure.
Sure. No problem with taking your time.
Because if you get Berserker quite a lot bigger, there were options to just kill him. But.
Sure.
Okay, this is the play you set up last turn. Dread Corsair. A free taunt minion. You're going to be on 12 health. You've got Ragnaros in hand. And you're facing down a whole bunch of pirates, but you've got taunt.
I actually think here, not for Pavel, but for Cebu, if he sees this Corsair come down, I think you don't upgrade this turn. I think you can trade in, and then just... Oh, he just didn't play the taunt. He's okay taking 1,000,000 damage. Well, the frustration here is you can't buff the Frothing. So the Frothing just gets cleared for 2 damage, but do you just play anyway? 2 damage is probably enough, right?
It's really...
Well, it
really...
does 0 damage with the
I
heal
guess now you've got the
so.
Cork on Elite, it makes it more complicated.
I guess you could Corcoran hit for 8, put him to 6. Then you have an upgrade in deckhand next turn.
What are you expecting here? If
Turn 5? I mean...
You're expecting a taunt to come down because you saw the defender take something.
Like Stonehill something? Oh, okay. This is the halfway house. Like, this is fine. Next turn you can play both, so you can hit for, what, 9 out of hand next turn? So if this trade ever happens with the weapon, it doesn't matter what it hits as long as that hit has 1 attack. And it's going to be lethal setup for Cebu.
Right, so what can Slovakia do about it? They can play the Dread Corsair.
Interesting.
Maybe they were trying to bait something there and didn't...
I mean, the only thing I can think of that really changes it is a second Frothing, because it stops you being able to buff the Frothing. But after seeing 1 on turn 3, are you really thinking about the second on turn 4?
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean? It's like kind of crazy.
Okay, Hydrologist, let's see what he gets. She gets.
Kodo?
Kodo seems good when you've got taunts and desperation. Oh, Redemption's the same deal.
No, yeah, Redemption's
similar enough deal.
Redemption's better. You soak the damage this turn,
Yeah.
not next turn.
And you get to use your weapon, so you save the mana.
Yep.
Sure. Just trying to work out, are they through on the other side, though? It's getting so close. But no, they've got to kill this twice, and that's going to take a lot of damage out of the equation because the way that it does in chunks. I think you get a 4 through.
So, do you just hit and then pass? Oh no, you can hit.
It's a bit awkward because you're not sure if it's Noble Sacrifice or not.
Yeah.
If it's Noble it's almost a guessing game. If it's Noble Sacrifice, you've got to attack with the deck hand first. And if it's Redemption, you've got to attack with the weapon first.
Well, if it's Noble Sacrifice, you just play Corcoran, right?
Sure. Okay, so you attack with the weapon first.
Weapon first every time.
If it's Redemption, you trade in the deck hand. If it's Noble Sacrifice, you play the Corcoran.
Yeah, because you play the Corcoran, you hit in anyway, so you end up going face.
Yeah.
Sorry, you hit him for 2, put him to 6, and then Arcanite Reaper upgrade to 6. If it's not, you can equip the Arcanite Reaper this turn, and Corcoran upgrade next turn for 6 from Arcanite Reaper, and you have Corcoran to beat into the secret. So I think you always swing with the weapon first. Unless you Cebu, maybe. I think my explanation made sense.
It did make sense.
If you upgrade in this
also,
turn, then fine. It doesn't really matter. Because you set up the 2-turn swing anyway.
Yeah, and this actually gets an extra 1 point of damage through.
Yep. Okay. This is fine as well. There's a lot of ways you could navigate that. I think, to be fair...
Can they get taunt off the Murlocs?
No. Is my answer.
They can't, because if they could, Curator would have been interesting.
Yeah. This is part of the reason why I was thinking about trying to get the upgrade on the Reaper, because the 6 attack actually makes a huge difference on the swings a lot of the time. There aren't actually a lot of minions at 5 health for Paladin. But yeah, it didn't matter. Cebu takes a win with the old Pirate Warrior. Doing it. This is just becoming very, very common today. It'll be interesting whether it comes out tomorrow as well. Like, I think Pirate Warrior has been all but one of the warrior choices.
Right, maybe people are just thinking these Paladins are getting a bit greedy. There's been a lot on N'Zoth in one of the other tournaments going on as well. So maybe if people have thought this is the time to go back to the aggro.
I don't blame him. I think Pirate Warrior is very strong, and at the moment, I don't really think it matters too much in terms of what's played, especially in this format, because Pirate Warrior can just like nip a win out of anywhere, right? Because that's just what the deck's built to do, as we said earlier. So yeah, it's going to be Greece going 2-0 up versus Slovakia, and now they're potentially on match point here with just one more game to go.
This would be such a good comeback. Not in this game, but going 0-2 in the group, back to 2-2 with only Hong Kong left to play, I think it is. Yeah.
And Hong Kong's not been looking too strong either. Hong Kong is 0-2 at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think Hong Kong are better than their results suggest, but even so, I think Greece fancy their chances in that one. It's going to be Logan versus Ivan Flock.
Mage versus Priest, though, and this is a tale we have seen told earlier today, where the Priest just doesn't have to do anything except have a Priest at the feast
in its deck.
Spells, in its deck, and then the Mage has true problems dealing enough burst damage to get through. This might be Secret Mage, it might be Freeze Mage, might have a slightly better make of it, but I don't believe so. I think you kind of just have to go all in and hope, to be honest.
Picking into Rogue and Priest, I love these little one-on-one matchups, but it does make you wonder if maybe this is slightly more aggressive from Logan. It could be a Secret Mage. And although we've predicted that like every game today, and it hasn't come up yet, but
I think as well there's a nod to deck list submission times. They didn't submit the list this morning, right? You know, they submitted list a couple of days ago, so Secret Mage wasn't as popular a couple of days ago, even as it was yesterday, for example. So that the ladder and the meta changes so quickly that even a deck that's popular now might not have even been that really heard of in 2 days.
We haven't seen Kodo in Druid either, which is a card I was expecting to see a lot today, but that's 4 days old or something, and it's not even in every deck, even in the current meta. So, good point. And for deck submission times are a thing.
It's when we saw the Discover Mage a lot last week, because it came up the week before. Yeah, so it's always like just a few days or a week behind, depending on when exactly the list becomes popularized. It's always interesting to see if next week we start to see Coda and Druid, we start to see some Secret Mage, for example, see if that has a knock-on effect. Or there's always the chance that, over the next couple of days, everyone decides Secret Mage is bad, and it just doesn't appear in the HGT at all because it just missed the window of getting in deck submission.
Watching APX, who's the Tempo Mage, not God, but he plays a lot of Tempo Mage, a high legend, and he keeps saying, "I'm going to keep working on this. I still think it's bad, but I'm going to keep at it," and he just casually ranking up.
Well, I think like with someone like that is like the second I find the build that isn't quite bad is probably very good because one, it's unexpected, and two, it's just an aggro deck at the end of the day. So if you streamline an aggro deck, you're probably going to get some wins, especially when everyone expects you to be playing a slower deck in the form of the Discover Mage. Looks like the players are ready to go in, and it appears to be a Discover Mage indeed for Logan, whereas it's going to be Dragon Priest looking like for Ivan Flock. And again, this matchup is so hard.
And the funny thing is, it's probably one of the better ones out of the Priest versus Mage matchup.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So there's lots of worse Priest versus Mage matchups, and it's still tragically hard.
Yeah, I think to be fair, in the game I cast this morning with Falk, with the Priest versus Mage, Medivh wasn't drawn till like the 27th card or something, so that definitely does not help. Because a lot of the time you might not be able to beat the Priest with the Alex combo. But you can just make big Medivh dudes and hit them in the face.
And I think Pyro might have been the bottom card in that same match. Yeah. It really was all over the place. I wonder then, is it too ridiculous to keep Medivh in your opener? It probably is too ridiculous because you're 1 in 3 or something to have drawn it by turn 8 anyway.
I think the issue with keeping Medivh against Dragon Priest, it ain't like Dragon Priest isn't punching you in the face. Right? Already we see Twilight Drake, we see Radiant Elemental. Netherspite Historian's going to be able to draw as and when decided. And even we did see the Inner Fire, which we saw to great effect earlier with a 30-30 Twilight Drake coming out.
And Grease keeping the polymorph is definitely a nod to the fact that all these Inner Fires are in every deck now. Oddly enough.
And also as well, the weird thing about Discover Mage is it has an early game and it has a late game.
Right.
With no middle. And the middle is where Dragon Priest does really, really well. Twilight Drake, Draconic Operative, so on. So you only run a couple of answers to cards like that in your deck. So the fact that you kept Polymorph, I do like. Operative comes out, just Polymorph it.
Sure.
Just no. Because if Twilight Drake gets a punch in, that's 4. If Operative gets a punch in with the Twilight Drake the next turn, for example, that's 9. And then suddenly you're taking a lot of damage and you've got no way to win because you have to think about surviving, dealing the Alex Strasser burst, and being able to beat the healing afterwards. You cannot do all of that at the same time.
Yeah, you just got to pick one and go.
Exactly, yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see if they even mess around with his courier next turn, or if they just play it and go and take a guess as to what to discover. Let the courier decide.
Yeah. Did I just miss the draw from the book?
I did.
Oh, it was Ice Block.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, there's loads of cards that start the deck.
Yeah. It was Ice Blocks. Sorry. I apologize, viewers at home. I blinked. I was looking into Lorinda's beautiful eyes and missed the
didn't really blink.
babbling.
Just saying that.
Yeah. It's just a straight stare. So now they discover. I mean, I'm kind of a fan of either Twilight Drake or Bookworm here. Primordial Drake, fantastic card, but you can kind of win the game easily without it.
Almost certainly, I think the Twilight Drake. There may be a case if they feel. And what do you remove with a Bookworm?
Well, almost any minion that they play. Yeah, but that's the thing.
But are any of them worth removing?
And getting chip damage is one of the ways they can press you.
Or do you want to remove it with your 4/9?
You're a 4/9, Neil.
How can I even answer that?
Exactly.
I will be in a few years' time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Twilight Drake is just a steady pick, right?
Sure.
It's just a good card. You can chain play them anyway. So it should be okay in general there. But yeah, I think the Bookworm would have been fine. Because also Bookworm's a little bit slower, which means if you draw an Operative before then, you actually have something to combo it with. But yeah, I mean, 2 Twilight Drakes.
Faceless Summoner taken from the Discover. That again is a nod to that middle game you were talking about. The part of the game where there is nothing to do. That fills in one of the gaps. Now if they can get a 5 drop off the next one, that'll fill in the other gap, and suddenly you've got a Hearthstone deck.
Yeah, oh, never mind. Game over. Priest of Feast Run. I'm joking.
Right, rack him up.
Yep, done. Yeah, I agree. I think just applying just enough pressure is very, very important here for Logan. And Logan is not manically nodding to himself. I have no doubt slightly off camera, like a boss is sat next to him, as he has been
telling him to nod maniacally.
Yeah, saying like, make him think you're crazy.
Because that's what he's like.
It is exactly what like a boss is like.
All right, so nothing obvious jumping out here. They want to coin Twilight Drake, but also why? Coin works. Priest of Feast coin works with both Twilight Drakes. There's no pressure on you. So the discussion is, can we get away with it?
I think
Can
I
we
do
get
like
away
coin.
with not coin? I think I like it.
Yeah. Because the whole point of having the 2 4-drops is you can go 1-2. It does use the coin, which minuses off some health, but who cares? I don't know.
Tell you who cares. He cares. He cares a lot, and he's not going to be giving up no resources to no mage.
Wow. He's a strong, independent Hearthstone player.
He is.
Is this feels like Cabal Courier number 50?
Tar Lurker, Light Spawn, or Demented Frostcaller. Tar Lurker is that 5-drop that sort of fills the gap I was talking about, but is it good enough? How does Priest kill it?
Good question. Shadow of Death, if you want the official answer. Oh no, it's 4. It's not.
I was
5.
looking at Inner Fire going, I don't want to
Sorry, no, it's not 4. Yeah. Sorry. I thought it was game 4. I'm
by the
thinking
way,
of
you've done the thing you've said about the 4 in the
I've
jar.
not.
In the jar.
Falcon was first in.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was Tarloco attack,
Sure.
not this one. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good pickup, actually. Because you look at it and you're like, oh, 1 attack. Priest can really mess with that. Not on Priest's turn.
Exactly.
It's
So
like,
this works nicely for you. And as you said, and as we've highlighted, it's those turns that you're worried about most. And even if the Priest has to just mess around killing it, that gets you to that later game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm getting excitable. There's a Priest of the Feast in the hand here for Ivan Flock. So the chances are still that even with his great hand, Greece are in trouble this game. But
yeah, but we can compare this to the game earlier, and it was slightly different. But a lot of the route chosen to deal with Priest was to kill their minions, right?
Right.
So fireballs were used, Firelands were used, like frostbolts were used to clear minions. And then how do you ever even get
Just run out
close
of
to beating the
stuff.
Priest to the Feast, right? You've never got a chance. Whereas at least, the Tarlurker means that, well, this just soaks up some damage, as you said, and means you don't have to use removal on these minions. And also, the slight difference in the list by looks things is that, Polymorph and Meteor, because I think it was Freeze Mage this morning, actually. Or was it? No, it was Discovered.
I think it was Discovered.
But, we didn't see Polymorph. Huge.
Yeah.
Meteor, huge, because you just kill a big dude. And those cards are not burn. So you actually save all that.
Right, and what might happen here for Slovakia if they're not careful, it's nowhere near happening yet, as you can see, is if you do run out of minions, these Inner Fires and Divine Strength just eat up your
Divine Spirit. Yep.
Sorry, Divine Strength's really poor. I've tried it, Kaleidosaur. Just eat up all of your hand. You've got 2 or 3 totally dead cards. Again, they're a long way from that being a problem right now.
Yeah, especially with Draconid Operative is just going to help out with that.
Yeah,
Going
he's going to
forward.
come through for them.
And even if they just don't use Inner Fire and later on it's Priest of the Feast, Raging Elemental, Inner Fire, whatever. Heal for 3.
Well, it's a flock of sheep.
Terrible, terrible joke.
I'm sorry.
I was going this happened last time as well.
What, the Medivh?
Yeah.
Medivh for the wrong
You pick
team.
it every day of the week, right?
I mean, you've got 6-drop in your hand and you've got stuff in your deck that's expensive. Guess it depends exactly what your build is. Yeah, just
pick
happens
it.
to be.
8 mana, 7/7, gain a weapon. Get him. Job's done. And he's just a cool guy. Interesting that,
Is he?
yes.
He holds a party and kills the guests.
He doesn't kill the guests.
Well, he tries to.
No, he doesn't. He gets kidnapped.
It's not responsible.
It's not responsible to get kidnapped.
Correct.
Okay, brilliant. Actually, the Malkazar steals him. That's the story of Karazhan.
Yeah.
Or at least Hearthstone Karazhan.
I know.
He does go kind of mad though in the actual WoW lore and tries to kill everyone.
Oh.
So, but this isn't that version of him.
This is the
This
other
is the friendly,
timeline version. Okay.
exactly, timelines. Nah, just alternate universes. There you go.
Yeah. Sure. Alternate universes.
God, you're as fun as Lorinda when you're as fun as Lorinda.
I know I
You're
am.
the same person. You're as fun as Sottle when talking about lore.
Hey. I'm all right. What? Don't ever sottle me again.
Okay,
Yeah?
if you say so. This summoner bringing out a raid leader. Not really going to be doing too much in general. It's going to be cleared up pretty easily. Someone that does kind of challenge the operative though, like. Not even directly because it didn't kill it, but even just okay. Now it's open up to a ping. Now it's open up to a Meteor, for example. Like Meteor with the Mana Worm can provide some form of pressure, but now the ultimate Meteor play around, get that 1/1 in the middle.
Yeah, beautiful to see. Absolutely nothing doing there with that Meteor. And Greece have a handful of good stuff, but organising it so it does anything particularly effective is actually quite difficult right now.
Yeah. I think you need to see intellect this turn.
They'll be looking at pinging that 1/1 to start making the meteor a little bit more encouraging.
Yeah, that's true. If you're going to ping, you probably Tar Lurker, right?
Yeah. Does that work? That does quite a bit, right? Because it also deals with a 3/4 in some worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you do, and then your meteor is set up for better play next turn with Frostbolt available to clear up any mess.
Yeah, and let's be honest, there are only so many small minions you can mess around with Meteor as Priest, right?
Right.
You know, like, well, there's one more Nether Spite, and then that's probably it. Yes, there's Cleric and stuff, but you're probably okay going, hitting the wrong side of the minions to hit a big minion and a Cleric, because it's a Cleric. Same with Elemental. It's small, and you might lose 3 damage, but the gain is killing an important minion for your opponent.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I like that play a lot. All right, so Ivan Flock has managed his resources masterfully, as you would expect, but now has decisions to make. They do know, Slovakia do know that this is probably the only tricky minion they've got to deal with in the whole deck. So they can throw some resources at this.
Yeah. Because Medivh can be cleaned up very easily. Alexstrasza can be cleaned up relatively easily as well.
Yeah, give or take, the old Priest dilemma does mean that they can throw... They won't want to waste resources, but if they have to put an extra card into this, so be it, I feel.
Do you actually just Dragonfire this turn?
You might.
And just deal with it. Dragonfire leaves the Draconid operative up, you just go face. And then just play Medivh next turn and then go.
You're not Dragonfiring Alexstrasza anytime.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what is Dragonfire going to get any better than killing a 4-attack minion here?
Yeah, do 5 damage
you
to
trade
Medivh
first.
later.
You trade first, of course. Before anyone's like, ordering, and I'm like, no, I know.
Casters.
So, Twilight Drake?
Right. Are they going to Twilight Drake and go? Surely going to kill it. Oh, he's going to go. Just go chill.
Yep.
And then kill it next
Well,
turn.
it can't do anything, right? It's the old Tar Creeper thing.
Yeah.
Just leave it. Who cares? No Shadow Visions yet for Ivan Flock. And Shadow Vision's a very, very important card.
Yeah, and you don't want to draw it too late, obviously, because you might get to
nothing else to
discover
draw.
nothing. Yeah, just discover your other Shadow Visions.
Mhm.
Just keep doing that.
Over and over again. It doesn't break the turn anymore, though.
Oh, did it do that?
I think it's been fixed.
Cool.
It did the... Do you remember the Nosdamu thing? Where if you... Basically, if you chain the Shadow Visions till your rope was burnt, your opponent couldn't play because the timer was still trying to catch up on their turn, so they couldn't do anything. And you could beat people, obviously, by them just skipping turn after turn after turn. So yeah, thanks to this guy's Toast for that one.
Cheers, Toast.
I think he discovered that one first, and I believe it has been patched and fixed now, so it's not doable anymore.
If not, what do we do to Toast?
He can go to jail.
We'll burn him.
Wow.
Anyway.
These dad jokes.
Hey. When you're my age, you'll do dad jokes too. They're the only jokes you have left. Shadow Vision's called once again by Mr. Raven, sir, to my right.
Yep. Ink Divine Spirit. If it's in the deck.
I mean, it would be unusual in the extreme to play one without the other. I understand the point because you can use it with death, but...
Yeah, there was also a point early on where Dragon Priest was running one. But that was where you were running Twilight Guardians and stuff, so a 3/6 becomes a 6/6, and you're like, okay, you know. So, and you still ran Powered Shields. So there was reasons, but now, especially because you can fish for them and potentially generate multiple versions, I would 100% run both together, even if they're just one-ups.
Yeah, you don't have to go nuts on it. It's just, it's probably, it's for those long games where you just find another way to sneak through the victory. Quite a lot going on here.
Also, just Inner Fire could just be used to kill the Tar Lurker. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be it wouldn't be the end of the world, to be honest.
I think you want to save that death for Medivh, though.
I do agree.
Alexstrasza, depending which one comes down first, and they're both there.
This is so sick.
Yeah, this was set up last turn.
Push for 9.
Beautiful setup last turn for this, knowing that they can clear it next turn, like you said, because the 1/7's doing nothing, and then start pushing chunks of damage.
Now it gets tricky.
And without any burn in hand, just the Alex to face option doesn't seem good. They want to try that. Obviously, Ivanflux concealing that Priest of the Feast, and obviously Greece will know that is around somewhere. But sooner rather than later, I think that was a problem earlier. The Alex came down way too late.
Yeah. I think Meteor into Valet on the Twilight Drake would be fine. Put the Twilight Drake to 2.
If you're going to Meteor, do you play Medivh this turn and then Meteor next
You
turn?
could, yep, you could, and see what happens with the potential trade. You know, one of the minions might trade into it, right? Oh, double visions.
There's also a reason to get Medivh down early, just in case there's a tech card floating around. You don't know if there's going to be a Harrison or an Ooze. Those cards just randomly appear.
It's one of the things you have to do in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
You just slam it because most of the mirror decks actually play Ooze. So you just slam it and go, well, if you've got it, great. If you've not, awesome.
And we may well see Slovakia do exactly that reply right now.
I like Shadow Visions here. You can potentially put the block. It does depend on what's in his deck, though, as we keep mentioning. We don't know the deck lists, so if Divine Spirit isn't in there, but you can still get Powered Shield.
Can you proc it on 1? You can, right, as well. Because you double the 8 to 16.
Yeah.
So you can actually proc it on 1.
And you can still Shadow with Death, right?
Okay, so the next question, if you're going with that, I assume you play the Radiant Elemental, because that's a lot of things you want to do.
Maybe not.
So that's the thought process they're going through. It's all these reverse engineered.
You can hold the Radiant Elemental for the Priest of the Feast and the second Shadow Madness,
and
or whatever else.
Lyra.
Well, there's still double Powered Shields in the deck. We've not seen any, right?
Right.
So, you know, that's actually huge. It's going to discount all that, not try and prot the block this turn and just play the Medivh. This might just be a nod of just getting more value on the board, or it could just be the fact there isn't a Divine Spirit in the list, you know, or there isn't confident enough that you're going to draw it in proc.
Or he's just really greedy. Some people who come from other games are very, very good at playing the value game and just being mega patient. And we've seen Russia just sit there and go, well, we can set up lethal, or we can just
never,
play...
ever lose.
Yeah,
you know, like
just win the game of Hearthstone at some point instead. Setting up lethal's overrated, but only a little bit.
Still playing around Meteor. Although it looks like the lesser health minion is on the left, that is true, but the attack difference changes everything here.
Yeah, tricky turn for Greece, because all their options are good, but they're also expensive.
So, the Medivhs can trade. That's easy.
Sure.
I wonder if... Oh. Would you not put the Medivh into the operative and then play Valet on the enemy Medivh to kill it off after a Flame Strike?
And then Meteor or whatever, Flame Strike.
I think Flame Strike, yeah. Because Meteor wouldn't do enough damage. Oh, or
just do this.
Get him. Okay. I do like this play, actually. We were talking about it straight from the... right from the beginning. All in, right? You have to do this to Priest. But wow.
I can relay here that Raven sat upright in his seat as he shouted, "Get him!" Then he was excited. This point.
I am, but look at this hand. This is the reason why Priest does not lose this matchup.
Yeah.
I get ready to get this to watch Ivanflux health just go all the way up to 30 at this point. He doesn't even care about using ATS charges.
Yeah, and they've just saved all this for this moment.
He can even
this
proc
isn't
on
a coincidence.
He can proc on 1 without any fire as well because of Medivh being 7. Oh look. Another death.
So much cheesecake.
Nom 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 nom.
Get it out! Get it out!
Wow. Possessed villager in Priestland. He's not going to last long. Another death.
There was Divine Spirit in the list as well, confirmed.
Yep.
Powered Shield's going to help.
Although
what I will say is if this board is, this is a big if the board is dealt with, then there's no real way Ivanflux can win, right?
Yeah.
In a roundabout way, say the board is frozen next turn. Oh, face has to be frozen as well. Although there is a nice...
Unless there's a Lyra, because there's still 3 spells in hand, but yeah.
Yeah. All I mean is by the time it happens, because there's still 2 charges of Atiyesh for Logan. But yeah, this is rough. You can only gain 1 health from killing that Atiyesh.
Look how ridiculous this board has become.
It's marginally silly.
Meteor.
Oh, for a taunt of some type, I guess? No, they don't matter.
Looking for me carried treasure.
Nice. 5-5 not going to do it.
There's the block, but
Block buys from 1 more turn. But again,
how on earth they win?
There's just no burn available, right? There's just Frostbolt and Medivh's Valet, and that's it. So it's only 6 when your opponent's got 22, but you did have to kill the Priest of the Feast. If you don't kill the Priest, then you're never going to do the damage, right?
Well, you've still got to do a mechanics. You may still pick up a Discover that does something one time in...
Twisted Nether.
A lot. Twisting Nether. I think I need to be Doom.
I don't really need the card draw, right? If you're twisting, you can actually hold the board.
Sure.
You have Flame Strikes. You have draw anyway. You have Ice Barrier for minion attacks. But yeah, this is just too much. Kind of off the back of this Medivh's pick as well, which is kind of crazy from the operative, yeah.
And even more annoying there for Greece, even if all that other stuff's dealt with, they can get hit in the face for 1 with the weapon. Which is actually a big deal, because normally...
That's what Ice Barrier is for, Miranda. So good old Ice Barrier to stop that anti-ash lethal.
Wow. Or the U's, but that, you just wouldn't have the time for the U's or the barrier. That's what I mean. If you get into something else, you just haven't got the time for all that. This is completely silly. Actual double... Oh, no, sorry.
1 was discovered.
It was only 1. I wouldn't do this. I think I'd prefer to have the 1/1 weapon there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, what if Nova happens now? Discover, like, Glyph Nova. That's pretty funny, actually.
See what happens. Not a lot, I suspect.
Yeah, not going to be enough.
Okay. Another own goal, and it goes to 2-1 as Logan gives it up. Put up a fight, but just seeing again the power in that matchup of Priest of the Feast, and that, like we said at the start, is one of the better matchups for Mage against Priest.
Yeah, very, very tough indeed. If Priest of the Feast and any spells at all are in the deck, even a Mind Vision, the game's going to be very, very difficult indeed. So yeah, it looks like Slovakia have put a point onto the board against Greece, but that was... Okay, here's a question, right? And this is what I'm discovering over the course of today and my knowledge of Hearthstone in general. Do you ever pick Mage if your opponent has Priest? Ever?
It's starting to look like no, which is why I thought it might be some sort of secret Mage to give yourself some chance, because
you just can't win, right? It's like it looks unless Priest of the Feast are the bottom 2 cards of your deck. Right?
Yeah, it's just looking like one of the worst matchups in all of Hearthstone. It really is.
Yeah, it's really, really grim. But we're going to see Like a Boss take to the stage versus Nature Lord, Paladin versus Druid. And again, this is more than likely Jade if we just go with the odds here in terms of how often we've seen Jade Druid, how popular the deck is over aggro. And Paladin, it could frankly be anything at this rate. We have seen the Zoth with late control. We have seen the Murloc aggressive styles, but still with some mid-game and late-game in it with Blasted Kings and stuff. So really big and mixed bag for Paladin. But this Druid's going to be the sticking point, I feel, because the Druid is going to define the way this game goes.
Yeah, and again, it's just so hard to predict exactly what the Druid's going to be. I think the Druid is the most caster-unfriendly class at this stage of each game. Every game we seem to say, well, the Druid...
Yeah,
we don't know what it is.
Yeah, the problem is as well, it's the fact that I feel the popularity of each version just goes up and down every single week. So we're like, well, I've seen a lot of aggro Druid on ladder, and then suddenly it's all Jades, and then vice versa, so it keeps changing. But I do believe it is going to be down to the Druid to make the difference. But Greece only need to win 1 with this Paladin, and I don't know if you knew, but Paladin's a pretty strong class at the moment.
I've heard it's pretty reasonable. Dropping slightly, I feel, on ladder. We don't see it quite as much, but it doesn't mean the deck's any less good. It just means it's maybe getting... hated out of the meta by crabs everywhere.
Just getting countered, right? That's the problem. If one deck can be countered to that extent, which Hungry Crab does, you will just throw it in your deck. You know, you see loads of Pirate Warriors playing Crawler, for example, just to beat the other aggressive openings. And they can like double use it on their own Pirates. But yeah, it's kind of nuts overall. And yeah, like a boss in the lovely green room, literally, that is with Logan, Nature Lord.
Also in a green room, but not quite as green.
That's true. Not the right shade of green, if you want a what's it called? A thingy background.
And we've got Nature Lord on Druid in a green room. At least he's synergetic.
Just full role player.
Full role play.
Yeah. Just comes on the takes his shirt off and just puts like a thingy on, like Malfurion.
Malfurion on top.
We say.
Feel my Malfury.
Sounds like a weird child plan.
It usually works.
Okay.
Okay, so moving swiftly on. So look at each other, wait for each other.
I thought you were going to move swiftly on for us, but I'll do it instead.
The misspelling of the word boss in Like a Boss's name is intentional. Thanks to Jay.
I never noticed. Haven't noticed at all. But yeah, Nature Lord, Open Cup grinder. Again, just one of the players we talked about earlier that wants to, bring his name out there really, and really make his mark on the scene overall. And we've seen players start to do that. Moglad, for example, for Bulgaria is looking really strong. Even though he said, yeah, it's a huge team effort. I have no doubts it is from Bulgaria. But it definitely looks good when you pilot index pretty well yourself, you're winning games, and the team behind you are winning games as well.
Yeah, going to just see how he gets on in this. These are so important. Like we keep saying, every game's important, but as it ramps up and we get near the end, there's more importance. There's no more importance attached to each individual game, but compared to what is left, the importance appears to ramp up. So we're going to be saying that a lot over the coming 3 or 4 weeks, I'm afraid, guys.
Yeah, this stage now, we're sort of past the stage where, okay, this team is 0-1, this team is 1-0. Okay,
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, no, actually, this team needs to win to still have a chance to qualify or have a reasonable chance to qualify. And then, as we said, next week, I think we're going to get into either next week or the week after, depending on how the schedule looks. We're going to start getting the matches going. If this team wins, they are qualified 100%. It will just depend on what seeding they get for the rest of the matches.
And Bulgaria was saying earlier, we heard from Morgalad saying, we want those good seeds. We don't want to play these good teams in the next round. We want to play the medium teams, the teams of our level.
Yeah,
Let's get ahead of those.
Well, I think as well, one of the things he said kind of against that was that he just said, we want to win the group.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to be, we just made it through. Obviously, that's great if you qualify through. That's awesome. But I think there's just as much pride in terms of, country-based pride in terms of, I just want to win. Like, we want to beat our whole group out, finish first place.
Yeah, and it's important for some of these, again, the middle-tier players like Morgalad, who are making a name for themselves in this event. The more they win, the more they make that name. And they might not get another shot for a little while, so take it while it's there, and that's what they are doing for sure, in Bulgaria at least.
Yeah, Greece are battling to hang on, whereas Slovakia need to make their mark, really, to be able to continue climbing up their group to a certain extent. And this Paladin versus Druid is going to be a tough one. I do feel like Paladin is still in a very strong position. And that even Druid, even Jade Druid, they can just snowball them out of the game.
They can, especially if the Paladin's slightly on the aggressive side. Again, we struggle to quantify Paladin decks in this event because people are playing so much a wide range of different versions. Yeah. But if it's anywhere near the aggressive version, even Jade Druid, it doesn't quite catch. You don't quite get to your Earth and Scales in time as the Druid a lot of the time. Whereas against some of the, oddly enough, against some of the more aggressive deck, the Druid can wipe them out with one swipe, put up a big taunt, and then heal, and they stabilise. But the Paladin keeps hitting you with these...
Just keeps going and keeps
stuff.
going.
It's just a nuisance.
You look at Spike Ridge Steed as well, and just more and more value. And Druid often can probably clear the board once, maybe twice with a Primordial Drake, for example. And then that's just about it. They just rely on building the Jades and battling for the board that way. And that's going to be a real problem. Even if the board gets cleared for the Paladin once, they're just going to be able to build it back up again. And it's not like their minions are all little dudes. A lot of them are with the Murlocs, but then they can go Stonehill into taunts. There's Tarim, which can make a board of small guys pretty big. Also, Tarim as a counter to Jades to a certain extent as well.
Yeah, and while that's all going on, the Druid doesn't have time to start making those big Jades a lot of the time. So if they're wrathing this and swiping that and hitting their hero power into this, how are they making Jades? Unless they get Wild Growth into Blossom, into Behemoth, they're quite often just saying, well, I can Earth and Scales for 4. What's that going to do? Not much, turns out.
A lot of the time you might even find, I know it's in the more aggressive matchups where Earthen Scales is used to just gain enough attack to make a value trade with a minion. It's not so much, I gain like 100 armor or something from this minion. It's actually, if I make a good trade here, I gain the health in a roundabout way anyway because the minion doesn't hit me. So it's interesting if you see some style of play where we've been seeing mainly Jade Druid used to go as high as they can on the Jades before they have to press that Scales button.
When the Paladin slides the other way a bit towards the control end, the Jade Druid definitely does start to get into it. Still has a bit of a mess playing around Tyrion and Ragnaros and...
I think as well, though, the Jades, as long as they're not way behind, obviously, they don't care about the Nazot turn. They just punch through it with, like, 8 Jades.
Yeah, hey, you played a 5/7. Bosh.
Sick. Yeah.
Eat
bang.
This.
Dead. Looks like the players are ready. This could potentially be the last game of the day as we're just going into it now. It's going to be Greece versus Slovakia, like a boss versus Nature Lord, Paladin versus Druid, and it's going to be an aggro Druid.
Get 'em versus get 'em.
Yeah. And Tide, this seems like a double Tide Caller versus double Innovate. Who wins?
Do you
find out today on
both
Hearthstone Global Games? Probably not.
Just keep one.
Depends how good you are at drawing a bit of Tide Hydra. I'm joking. Might not even be in the list. I think I would keep 1.
I think I would.
2 is asking for trouble. 2 is asking to just draw Savage Draw.
And if you're keeping 1, do you then get rid of the Firefly and just go all in trying to get Fledgling?
Depends if Fledgling's in the deck.
Okay, so if there's a Fledgling in...
We could go on all day.
And we do.
We have been going on all day.
We really have.
I feel Firefly is good enough to keep because it's just that good of a card on its own. If that card was anything else, I'd think about swapping it out. But it's looking pretty good as the Corsair. It's actually been out in hand. It's going to help pull that patches as long as it's not drawn. Okay.
There's a load of stuff.
That is indeed stuff. Do you actually... Okay, how much do you want to fight for this board? You could play like almost everything this turn and mark of Yashiraj the patches to trade into their Tide Call.
So tempting, isn't it?
Because that just says, I got the board, what are you going to do about it now?
Yeah, your little Tide Caller is just not going to be enough.
Correct.
And then you can possibly even... You probably don't Savage Draw just yet, but you start using your Hero Power and you're going to draw another card next time. That's the most basic thing I've ever said.
Well, you are going to draw a card every turn until
you're going to draw another playable card next turn is what I'm trying to be sure.
And you also have Flame Elemental from the Firefly, right? So if you play the Firefly as well, then seems good.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
I think it just dumps tons of... sometimes as aggro druid, you have to just dump everything onto the board and say, let's go, let's see who wins. And it looks like this is going to be the play here.
Yeah, just absolutely. If you get to turn 4 and you've got Consecration and you're not dead, they're going to be non-crazy about it all.
Well, okay, sure. So they're saving the they're playing the Firefly. So Hero Power versus Mark of Yashiraj.
Maybe trying to get a beast.
But what if you just never draw one? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that would be a 3-2 patches. So it's not like patches is going to be easy cleared up or anything, right? Like it's a 3-2 patches, a 1-2 pirate, and a 1-2 Firefly. You can follow up with the Flame Elemental the turn after. I don't know.
I liked the all-in, but it's not a deck I'm particularly well versed in. But this makes sense. Like they got the board. That was the #1 priority here.
And they do have a buff to play next turn, worst case. And the buff will be better because it's on a 2 health menu, not a 3 health.
The other thing is they draw a 1-drop next turn. They don't even have to use the buff. They can just go 1-1 and play into their Savage Draw.
1-1 makes 2. More, learn the maths.
Get in there. I need to change my handle on Twitter.
Yeah, get it done.
Meanwhile, Lycobos and Greece have got very little decision to make here. It's an awkward one because you waste some mana if you play the Tide Hunter, but it's slightly better. Your 1-1 dude just dies, but saves you valuable resources again.
Yep. What's up, Corsair? Do you even want to play this? It is good versus True Silver.
It really is. But if you don't play it, what do you do? Do you just armor up? That seems like a weapon. That just seems like a waste. Do you play the Mark, in which case you probably should have played it last turn? That seems like a waste.
I guess you can just Hero Power, right? Hero Power the 1-1 down, go.
Don't their things start getting bigger than your things quickly if you do that? Maybe they're not.
What are we talking about now, Lorinda?
I don't even know
Whose
anymore.
things are bigger than whose?
So they know that they're not going to face the True Silver for some time yet. You can just set up a board here where you can Savage Roar for like 15.
That's true. I just think the Corsair stops like, it's effectively what, like 10 damage swing?
But what turn would it be coming on? You're right, he's gone for that. Just the thing that the True Silver comes down, then you've got to play the Corsair. That's going to be your turn 5. It's a long way off to keep it back for.
Yeah.
And what's the True Silver actually going to kill? I mean, stuff is the answer, but is it actually that much of a menace?
10 damage.
Sure.
So, I think it's worth. With the heal.
Follow the rules.
Were you checking my math?
That's 12 then.
Why? It does 8. Oh, it's 2 heals.
Yes, I was checking.
No, it's 1 swing.
Oh, just 1 swing.
Don't you try and learn to mass me. I actually believed you. I made the misplay of believing you for a second.
I made the misplay of trying to understand you. Anyway, moving on before we have a massive fight here, which I would lose.
Like a crawler for next turn can actually eat up this pirate if needed. You're not really too bothered about pirates against Paladin. You probably wanted the other crab. But, you know, at least you can make a 3-4 out of it, 1-2. You know, it's not the end of the world at all.
And without your Finger, without your living mana here, as Nature Lord, you're starting to get concerned, even though you've got the board for now, because these Murlocs and the Paladin in general starts to turn it around about turn 5 if they get behind. Yeah. They can start playing 2 Murlocs per turn, and when all that Murloc synergy gets going, you see for yourselves the sort of stuff that can happen from that hand. Yeah. That is going to be awkward. I think here we just peacekeep at a 3-1.
Yeah, I was wondering whether you peacekeep at a 3-1 or just play the Tycaller Rock Pool and say trade. Because the more they trade, the more you're in a good position, right?
I can see that's a good play as well. The only concern with that is you've got the Mega Sword, and it could still be really good.
Yeah. I do agree. I think that if you can save it and make the Mega Sword hit, you could just win the game off the back of that. So the Outdoor Peacekeeper is probably the safe option. You just need that emergency switch, right? If the second you draw a Conch, you're like, okay, we can play this game now.
Yeah, that's another thing. Actually, they probably want to spam the board the turn before Living Mana, which is next turn. And so building a board now that gets wiped out and then your opponent repopulates, you're like, oh, we make some stuff and they play Living Mana, we've lost.
Now I wonder if there's ever a Savage Roar turn here. Probably.
It's always worth looking at. Any time you've got 3 or more minions in a match where you're trading a lot, you've got to consider, is this the best Savage Roar I'm ever going to get?
Because I just wonder how much of a menace this 3-3 is going to be. Because already it's trading with the whole board on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you Savage Roar, just trade 1 off, push for, 8? It doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not. It puts your opponent to 19, but still, you deal with the threat, because the threat now is that this Outdoor Peacekeeper just laughs at you.
Yeah, and the other threat is that you don't quite know their build, or they've got an idea it's aggressive from the turn 1 Tycaller, but you've got to start thinking, look, we haven't got anything good in our hand. Mm-hmm. How are we actually going to deliver 27 points of damage against a deck that is going to start slapping us about in a minute?
Yeah, I think Savage Roar timing is actually one of the highest skill parts of this deck.
Yes.
Because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's easy. Hey, if you got 7 minions on the board, you probably should press Savage Roar.
Right.
Regardless of situation, just press that button.
Right.
But moments like this can be actually quite difficult.
Yeah, and we're seeing here Nature Lords and Slovakia choosing now to just go face. They've realised they can't win this game against these bigger minions, long term.
Ooh, gonna feel bad if the True Silver gets equipped after you played the Corsair, the second one. It's like, oh.
You know what? They would have felt bad. So this play is weak to Consecration.
Yeah.
But you've always got the backup of Living Mana. If the Consecration is in hand, it still might not even be used on this board, oddly enough. But yeah, the True Silver there. As you can see, though, it's just kind of slow. What does it do?
Yeah, in this situation, the idea of the True Silver is it kills the buffed minions, right?
Yeah.
It can take down a minion that's been buffed by Lotus into Power of the Wild, for example. Whereas at this moment in time, yes, True Silver is very,
it's a 2-2.
Very disappointing, yeah.
And a 2-2 weapon for 4 is not good.
So now, do you like the Murlocs? Murloc Hero Power?
I like it more because you've got to be scared of that Savage Roar. I know it's easy because we can see it, but you've got to. You're scared of the Living Mana. You're scared of Finger. You're scared of You're scared of next turn. You're terrified. You've just got to get rid of everything you can get rid of, and this seems to be the way to do it because this allows you to play your Tidecaller because not one minion can bump into it on its own.
Yeah, I do like that actually.
And then next turn, you've got a 2 and a 4, which is 6, which is how much mana you'll have, and you can play both your other Murlocs. So this all worked out really, really nicely until that happened.
Crabby.
He's hungry. And that is definitely the card that Slovakia needed right now, because they've just run out of stuff.
I want to see another crab. So I've talked about Jade Crab, right? That's my idea for next expansion, maybe.
What about Crab?
Well, I'm thinking Ulti Crab. So if you have one of each crab in hand, you can play them all and they combine into a super mecha crab. Almost like Power Rangers as well, that'd be sick.
Raven and his crab ideas.
Yeah. They all get like a mech to get into, and then the mechs all conjoin into a huge crab mech. Now that would be a good card, I'm just saying. Yeah?
Sure, the camera can't see me looking at you like that, so there's no point me continuing. Absolutely fine with that idea.
Yep, Savage Roar going to come down though and help clear up this board and push for a bit of damage. And the hungry crab, not hippo.
I was going to say, is it like the hippo? You beat me to it, damn you.
He's not going to come down this turn because, ooh, that's good. Because more and more you see, the realization to maybe some newer players that these crabs insta kill anything with that tag.
Right.
So, hey, war leaders also die. You know, anything big just dies. So it's important that if you can kill the cheaper, easier Murlocs, then it's better to hold the Hungry Crab to kill the awkward ones.
Yeah, and it's going to pay off next turn, but Curator might not look like it's that great right now, but the Druid's still going to have to find a way to do a little bit of additional damage. It's used quite a few buffs now.
Curator could literally win like a boss this game. Because Curator will pull Drake next turn.
Yeah.
Which means Drake on 8 with the AoE. AoE's pretty good against Druid.
You need to.
No, yeah.
You need to clear the living mana, which I know it's not there now, but it's an ongoing threat.
Well, the big thing is the Drake kind of does both. If living mana's played after the Drake, well, living mana almost has to fully trade into Drake to kill it off as well. So it's actually really important that this Drake gets pulled from Curator. This is actually just huge. The taunt as well is really going to help. I think like a boss can stabilize here.
It's definitely looking like he's got an option to do so. Like this crab has been...
Ooh.
Every time we say we think someone's stabilized, something crazy happens. But yeah, the crab's going to eat the 2/3 because that's what it's been saved to do.
Yeah, but you know, this fledging is great, a strong card, but against the Megasaur, it just dies.
Yeah.
Just trades into it, whatever. And now we're going to see Curator into Drake. This is huge.
Yeah, and they will try desperately not to use the Drake. That is what we're going to see because of living mana. They will
I think they'll slam the Drake. Slam the Drake, clear this board. Your opponent has to have living mana. There's no real card drawing Druid, and they've just emptied their hand.
I mean, they may have to slam it. I'm not saying they won't, but they will look around for ways to not ever slam it. But it's probably not enough. No cards in hand, so they can play around maths.
Yep.
They can actually, you know, joking aside now, they can do maths and say, right, these are the cards we've got to worry for. These are the chances we need to take.
Okay, so you always kill the fledgling, right?
Well met.
Kill the fledgling, not only is it a free kill, but it's the card that might, in some world, beat you.
Okay, so Slovakia already know, Nature Lord already knows that is a Primordial Drake now in Grease's hand. Like a boss, so confident that he's gone Curator into Drake. The board has to be traded away into this Curator to be able to even live. Megasaur, I think there's going to be, what, a 2/3 onto the board? Oh my god, like a boss shouting quite loud. Probably some kind of profanity knowing him. But yeah, it's going to be cleared up. There's still 3 damage, but this Drake can just come down and it's not even bothered. It doesn't even have to Drake anymore.
Might not even get Kodo into Hydrologist into Getaway Kodo or something like Getaway Kodo.
Yeah.
Kodo things.
Yeah,
now you don't even
Kodo's riding Kodos.
Now you just play Defender and Kodo, most likely.
Yeah, sure.
You're not dying if you do that.
And the options, I mean...
Whatever.
Crossbow Grunt for me, whatever. Yeah.
Let's see. 9 mana next turn. Oh,
you can't play it next
fine.
turn. Yeah, you can't play it next turn.
And I think they're discussing, is there any reason you can think of not to Kodo? You want to keep the Drake for living mana, I'll keep saying that, but now they can actually do that.
Fen Creeper's the same.
Just drop the Fen Creeper.
It's kind of the same in that whatever gets through Kodo or does damage to you, like... they cannot get through a Fen Creeper and a Stonehill. And then on top of that, if by some miracle they do, they also cannot then get through Primordial Drake. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the endless, you cannot do this turn. Then you cannot do this turn. And if you keep chaining those, Druid is just going to run out of cards. We can see no cards in hand. And there was just the mark of the Lotus there for +1/+1 on all the minions. But this Fen Creeper solos the board still. Like, without the Drake.
Yes,
and lives.
And now they get to choose how to. They can manipulate the Kodo by what they did last turn. And yeah, like a boss is feeling it again, and he's going to be 2-2 if they get through this. Like they're going to win the match and go 2-2 record in the groups.
Right, look at the shaking, potentially singing there from like a boss. He's just like, all I've got to do is not press escape and concede, and I've probably won this game. There is no single cards apart from living mana that can even open up any hope of a win, and even living mana just doesn't because the Drake.
Yeah, that's the mistake they can make is just drop the Drake.
The Drake, well, before this happened, the Drake might have just been the play to clear the board, but because of, you know, Stonehill into Fen Creeper, then you're like, oh, now we don't need the Drake, so you can hold the Drake for a living mana turn.
Like this Paladin deck, I mean, we have seen this version. This isn't a surprise version, but the version where you curve for a bit and then you chill, then you drop a Curator is definitely one of the versions that is the most terrifying to deal with when it does its thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they're just building up the health here. Like a Boss is getting pretty happy, I think.
Well played. Naturelaw doesn't look too happy on his side, and that is going to be the win for Greece. Like a boss happy. High five to Logan, who is next to him, and no doubt joy across the team comes anyway. Thank you, Like a boss. That kiss was for me, no doubt.
I'm sure it was.
Probably wasn't. But yeah, great game overall for Greece. I'm glad that was the right fingers then.
That could have got dangerous.
I caught that at the bottom of my eye and was like, what's he doing?
What's he doing?
But great win for Greece and for Like a Boss. Always fun to see those guys play. They're definitely just a bunch of characters.
Yeah.
And commiserations to Slovakia, of course. They got the rough end of the stick in some matches, but the win they did get was with the Priest against the Mage, which is honestly swiftly becoming one of the most one-sided matchups I've ever seen in Hearthstone. It's kind of silly at this point. You can see the shape of the series overall. Deathlaw and Cebu taking two pretty easy wins over to Slovakian players Richie and Pavel. Logan, as I just mentioned, losing the Priest versus Mage matchup, very, very difficult. And then Like a Boss winning out versus Nature Lord's Aggro Druid. And they pretty, it looked a little bit dicey in the beginning, especially with the crabs being drawn. But then, you know, the second that Curator comes down, you're like, 4-6 taunt into 4-8 taunt, potentially.
Yep.
Into everything else. Kodo, very good versus Druid too.
Yeah, just so much going on there. And it's interesting, I think that Nature Law just didn't really pick up anything to keep the pain coming. After that Savage Roy, he's really hoping, not just for the Living Mana that I went on about through the cast, but maybe get that Fledgling a turn or two earlier, maybe get another buff, maybe get Mark Lotus, anything. And he just...
Even like an egg napper to like just have something on the board to start pressuring somehow. But one of the issues, we talk a lot about Savage Raw. When you use it early, that's great if it's going to get some work done. But if it's for trading, you need to draw some more end game, right? You know, you need to draw something to keep the pressure, because if you lose the board once, it is game. But the strength of that Druid list is you get the board, and it becomes very, very beefy and powerful indeed in itself.
The weakness of Finja showed there as well came up there, where you saw the Murloc, the bluegill on turn 6 or something. It's like, here's a 2-1 Murloc that I've had to put in my deck.
Yeah.
And that's the weakness. When you say Finja's really broken, I don't disagree with you, but that's your downside.
Always a downside to something, and we can check in with Cebu now, who is, I believe, on a call. And one of the Greek players, of course. Can you hear me, Cebu?
Yes, hello.
Hey, congratulations on the win. Very convincing overall. How did the overall series go for you guys? Were you happy with it? Because to be honest, it looked pretty one-sided on our end. There was the one game of Logan's Mage versus the Priest, which is continuing to feel like an unwinnable matchup in general. But overall, did you enjoy the series? Did it go how you planned out?
Yes, I think pretty much the matchups went as planned. The only matchup that wasn't good for us was the Priest with the Mage, and we had a decision with Alex Strazen to go all in. Hope that he hasn't he hasn't had the Priest of the Feast.
Yeah.
He had it with plenty of spells, and
yep.
we were pretty much doomed that match.
Hong Kong, your final match. You confident you're going to win?
Yes, I think we have to win. I guess, because it's if we win we stay, if we lose we pretty much we are out. So we will make a very good preparation. I think it's on a month.
Right.
So we have a lot of time to prepare and be ready for that match.
And just talking about the Logan game with the Mage versus Priest, what was the reasoning behind picking Mage when you saw your opponent could have picked Priest? Because I feel the matchup is so one-sided that that's the one you want to avoid at all costs. Did you even talk about or consider picking the other class? I actually can't remember what the other class option was now.
Yes, we had in the other match, the other class was Summon. We had the Summon versus Mage, and they had Priest versus Rogue. If they pick the Priest, we wanted to play the Summon. If they play Rogue, we wanted to pick the Mage. So it was pretty much a coin flip. And we said that it's better to play Mage versus Priest than to play Summon versus Rogue.
Okay,
so we went with the Mage, and it went.
And it was rough.
It didn't went that well, but okay.
Yeah, well, you won the whole series in the end, so congratulations again. We look forward to seeing you in a few weeks when you play your last match versus Hong Kong. See you soon.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Awesome to hear from more of the Greek players as well. I didn't get the joy of Like a Boss trolling me as he was messing around with you and Sol, I believe.
Sure, we will get that joy once again. But yeah, nice to speak to Cebu there. Obviously, nice to speak to all the members of this community. So good stuff. And they seem pretty happy and pretty confident.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they didn't have the best opening in their group at all. Like, it was actually looking pretty grim, but having the wins now back under their under their belt, they can start to really push. And they said they've got to beat Hong Kong, or they're probably not going to make it, but they feel confident. And again, because of the way the scheduling works, it looks like they've got 3, maybe 4 weeks to potentially play the match. I think we can even check out the group and see what they look like now after they have played and got this victory. No, never mind. We can't show groups, but they did win the match.
Yeah, they're 2-2 anyway.
Yeah, they're 2-2, so they're going to be middle of the group, right?
I think, well, yeah, dead in the middle. They're going to need to win will be good, lose will be bad, on a more obvious statement than usual.
But we can check out the schedule of how today has gone overall, as this was the last series. So we kicked off the day with Indonesia, Switzerland. Indonesia taking it 3-2, looking really good, as they are now 2-1 overall in group, so very good for them. New Zealand versus Spain, pretty convincing win. We interviewed Patra there and got some good words from her. 3-1 for those guys as well.
Bulgaria 3, China 0 is an enormous result for Bulgaria. They've looked. You picked out Morglad and Bulgaria as one of the surprise potentials, and you are right. China, they're a big team. Didn't look on it today particularly, but Bulgaria, stuffing them basically. And China down to 1-2 now.
Yeah, then we had Poland lose to Vietnam 2-3 in a reverse sweep. Very, very close series for me. If you want to watch one of the series again, go back and watch that, because that was nuts. And then we obviously saw Greece beat Slovakia 3-1. So, there's definitely a lot of cool things going on today. We've got plenty more cool things tomorrow. We can check out how this, again, this feels like so long ago, Lorinda, as we see the first game of the Jade Druid versus the Mage. Deathlaw looking pretty chill. Again, a matchup you probably pretty okay playing, because it was Freeze Mage and not the Discover Mage, so you can actually there's less threat of crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, just take your time.
Because there's no Cabal Couriers for a start, so you can't get the weird, well, what if he gets this Priest card or this Warlock card and messes me up.
Then into the game number 2. This was interesting, actually. The Murlocs sort of just didn't get rolling at all, and the Pirates did all kinds of damage. There were 1 or 2 decisions to make. There always is with this Pirate deck, but they got them right and hit them in the face.
Yep, definitely got off to a pretty aggressive opening. Not a lot Pavel could have done about it, to be completely honest. As you can see, Rag was in I think the opening hand, or at least the first draw, and, it didn't even get to turn 8. This matchup went on for quite a while, but I'm very quickly believing this is just the most one-sided matchup in the meta at the moment. I think it's incredibly difficult. I've seen it played multiple different styles.
Right.
The remove all the priest stuff style, the all-in freeze mage burst style. None of them work.
Yeah, they got
literally don't draw.
They've got decent 5-drop, decent 6-drop in this matchup to fill out that middle curve. Didn't matter.
Yep.
And then this game that we just saw, Slovakia getting off to a really good turn 1. They could have gone even more all-in on turn 1. Chose to hold back that mark, but that didn't seem to punish them in the end. What seemed to punish them was the fact that the Murloc they picked up just as bluegill in the middle of nowhere, and they just didn't pick up any big stuff early enough.
Yeah, and you imagine like the fledgling 3 turns earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different
now we're talking, yeah. But yeah, like a boss and Team Greece held on, and the Curator being MVP for the Paladin here, drawing out the Drake, the Kodo, just all the options from to be able to keep this Druid board down. So good job for Greece. And yeah, like I said, this is going to be it for us today. I believe we can check out the schedule for tomorrow and what matches we've got coming up. We've got another 5 matches going to be tomorrow with us, and me, Lorinda, of course, and Falcon. And then there's going to be, I believe, some matches on Thursday. It's going to be cast by TJ and Cora.
TJ and Cora. TJ's going to be able to read from his own book.
Yeah, that's going to be good. Who wrote these facts?
Yeah, these facts
you
are
did,
very
TJ.
good. Oh, they're my facts. These facts are amazing.
Yeah, so definitely plenty more HGG for you guys coming up over the next couple of days. I do know we've got another 5 weeks of this as well, so there's plenty more
of this
time of this one stage. Yeah, so plenty more Hearthstone for everyone. We've got plenty more matches tomorrow, so make sure you don't miss it. Thanks a lot for watching today. So from us, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.